teams up there on the upper half of the leaderboard, and we're seeing now in that elimination feed starting to light up Red Eyes. These teams, they're not waiting to take the action. Yeah.
Now, Entity, a bit of a newer name to some of us here, but certainly have laid a lot of the groundwork and the foundation to get here, setting the tone for their brand, for their team, working their butt off to make it here. Well, you can't let it all fall to waste in the first 30 minutes of the grand finals. Everything you put forth to work here, it all rides on just 18 short matches, Enigma. So I'm not really a bit surprised that we are seeing... Go ahead, Enigma. I'll let you take over this here while I bring this up. And...
Oh, of course, man. And for the most part, these teams right now, I'm really interested in wondering who's going to be all able to be performing for the most part. I understand that we have obviously the likes of X-Force Wolves, but some of these teams that are kind of new, foreign maybe, looking at CBK, Four Sexy Frogs, as well as Almost There, which now production, they've given us the rundown. CBK Esports chat. If you're a fan of the Zombie Boys, if you're on that Mustache Dave hype train with that squad, your eyes are going to be turning now to CBK Esports. So happy to see that squad that's competed over the last year and a half, few seasons of Titan Series and PMCOs and the likes of that, coming in here strong and still representing North America. Now, I'm unsure if they've had that roster change or not that we were kind of hinting at, or if it's something different, but for the most part, these teams right now, they're looking to still make the rotation, and if I'm counting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of our 16 squads still out of the blue zone, out of that play zone up on that mainland island up to the north.
Yeah, this is going to
be... Of course, being that shooting range, and that North George side, that sort of bridge crossing, I'm not sure if they're really going to rotate into one another, Red Eyes, but that's sort of a question mark that's in my mind right now.
Yeah, and as you can see, Dauntless not far off from the opposition here, and it looks to be... I think that their opposition has already begun their great migration down south. It was Sherry Punjab, but this is an interesting approach here. But as we said, Enigma, you know, it is just game one. So I'm not even surprised to see a pro team, you know, really taking their time, getting their loot, letting these numbers dwindle. But it does definitely seem to be a bit more of a passive approach than what we would have expected from a team like Dauntless per se. However, you know, if they do find themselves in this kind of close proximity with Sherry, it could be easy elims.
Yeah, and Dauntless, that's one of the teams that we've heard the names of Klaus and the likes of them, Casper, being able to kind of perform in the previous roster lineups. I'm not sure who their four-man really is per se in these last few remaining matches. Teams making those switch-ups, as we like to call it, that NA roster shuffle after every tournament. But Dauntless right now holding North George, looking to wonder. They understand, I believe, that there is a team on that far western side of this POI, but interested in seeing if they're actually going to look to capitalize or they'll make that early rotation early on. We see it now as well. Yeah, this is going to be that western side team slowly making their way through the apartments. Typical loadouts around, it looks like DBS and the M4s here, but I'm interested, Red Eyes, in knowing just what exactly this team's going to be making, because Dauntless, that's a team we understand, that we know and love, and we see every tournament when it comes to these sort of events. But for the likes of Sherrill and stuff like that, are they going to be able to perform in a lobby that has sort of these bigger names like X-Force, like Dauntless, if they're going to be able to show up into that possible top 5?
I mean, you talk about a pressure factor, Enigma, and boy, never feeling pressure more than when you're thrown, you know, up against, well, you know, I hate to say thrown to the wolves, but ironically the pun does call for it. But you know, if you're a team that really hasn't quite established yourself in this community, people don't really fear the name, fear the team brand yet. Well, yeah, the panic factor is pretty easy to onset. But this is kind of one of those situations where at this stage in PUBG Mobile Esports, you know, it's all about keeping that level head, keeping your cool in these high stress, quickly unwinding situations, so to speak. And I think, you know, it's impossible to say for a team like Cher. You know, we've seen the Wolves howl at it time and time again. But if you are a new team making your first steps up the ladder towards the pro circuit, I don't think we're going to see any bold outrageously risky plays from some of these newer teams, at least not today, or maybe not in the first half, would be my safe bet. I'd go so far as to say probably not even day one. I like to think, you know, day two is sort of where these newer teams have their locker room pep talk, kind of shake off the nerves and kind of adjust what usually ends up being a bit of a hesitance on day one.
Well, the hesitance, I'm not wanting to be kind of the down player of that, right? Because obviously these teams, they've played over the last few weeks. They've been through the qualifiers. They understand kind of how that tournament structure is. And for the most part, I think hesitation is the word that's out of the vocabulary at the end of the day. We understand these top teams. They're willing to make those big guy decisions, point blank, micro second sort of split making ideas, I guess you could say, and be able to capitalize on it. And a team that I feel has kind of struggled on that, unfortunately, from being one of our top North American squads, has been X-Force. We know Fate, we know Balak, they are able to do that themselves, but it's always kind of just them two. It's never all they're the ones getting pushed into them, shots going down, oh my goodness, the hovercraft actually being blown up already, so a bit of a precarious spot for everyone. I'm interested in knowing if that squad mate will actually be able to get any support from his teammates, because we see it now, the buggies, the vehicles, this is kind of looking like a bit of an outplay here in my eyes, Red Eyes.
Yeah, you know, and it just goes to harken back to this like almost fatherly, you know, discipline I have with X-Force, where I just feel like they have so much potential. It's about consistency for X-Force. We've seen the amazing hovercraft plays from them, and then we've also seen all that, you know, progress undone in the next match of a PMCL. So anything can happen. It's all going to be down to their mental.
Yeah. Well, the medals, I mean, we're already seeing the drive between us and Wolves Esports having a good one today. Already having 2 eliminations to their name now. Finding a knock on another player, but now we're turning our eyes all the way to the eastern side. It looks like maybe 2 possible botations running into each other. 1 elimination down, another player knocked, it looks like as well. Players fully split up on these warehouses and shacks to the Vikings. Damage, gotta find the mark, and his teammate does around the backside. The wall player now holding spear, holding true to his sights, and it looks like the rest of his teammates are gonna find player 1 member remaining for the likes. Novo, there's a lot of crates. Do you really expect to look through all of them for this final elimination, or Red Eyes? You turn to that far southern edge, do you rotate into the circle? Because this 1 elimination, I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask, is if you are Kin, you know, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's gonna happen beneficially here. You know, you have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might not know who we are, but we're going to go ahead and 1v4 CBK right here off the rip. I don't think so. No, he's lost all his resources. It's going to be a complete strategy shift. It's going to be about making it to that end game and just acquiring what placement points you possibly can for the team. And at this point, it's damage reduction. Yeah, and damage reduction. Unfortunately, I believe it was 4 Sexy Frogs that had the eliminations earlier on from Wolves Esports. Now feeling the brute force of Noobs Esports, getting 1, maybe even 2 eliminations, was not eyeing it too closely. And seeing it now, the solo, he's starting to move his way in, but the squad fight, it's still going on the eastern edge. And I could have sworn Noobs Esports was going to be winning it out, but it looks like a solo for each team in the water. We're playing ducks. Yeah, we got
fish in a barrel. I don't even know what to say about this right now. We got
like some competing Michael Phelps water snakes.
Oh, is he reviving? I think he's going for it.
I think he might be, brother.
Oh, man. This is big, though, but the other teammate, we see that Noobs Esports. Is he getting a heal off there? No! Through the water! I'm not sure if that was the play to be done. But
I mean, risky as it was, 4SF was able to just pull off something that they realistically... I mean, what just happened? And at this point, they're going to have the time to heal up and then just pick winner off at their own pace. This is, well, winter came early, unfortunately for him. This is going to be a short one. And, boy, those heat waves are hitting hard with that. And ultimately,
being a frog, I mean, it kind of fits their name, right? They're frogs over here and stuff like that. But for the likes of these teams and all that, I'm interested in knowing who's really going to be able to kind of understand the dynamic that's currently happening. We'd see the map feed as well. 3 teams up on that northwestern side staying on the mainland of the island. The last few circle shifts now coming into play down towards the south. A few swimmers, a few players looking at it. Dauntless, team that we were wondering what they were going to be doing. 3 eliminations under the belt, onto the squad that we believed landed right next to them. Shuri Punjab down to just a solo, no eliminations to their name. I do believe Dauntless understands.
Yeah.
It's a solo here. I'm not sure.
That was perfect. A two-person push, have each man hang back, 2 people hang back, so essentially a 2-1-1 split here, even though 2 of them are in the same house. 2 separate lines of fire, keeping all their coins separate here, not really throwing any risk there. Even if they had lost 1, the odds of him being able to acquire a thirst, I'd say slim to none at that stage.
Yeah, I mean, slim to none. Unfortunately, 4 sexy frogs now, I believe, getting full wiped out of the lobby. It's going to be Wolves Esports cleaning them up. Must be either a southern rotation from one of the teams or all the way to the western edge. Now we see it. Wolves Esports trying to swim across. X-Force, I believe, understands. He's there. Yep. Oh, and they don't even get the elimination point. Drowns out. X-Force really punch in the air. Only 1 elimination. They would have had 2 if they had gotten that player. But nonetheless, now we see it as well in the elimination feed. An Inko member. 1 ran over. Another one full AUG sprayed. Knocked. Inko Gaming, our top performing squad from the professional division. The pro squad's lobby getting made light work. Straight out on a fall. That's going to be 4 eliminations to their name, it looks like. And for us to win, man, I mean, this is a team that we've seen them perform. Unfortunately, it hasn't been in those moments for land qualification. So nice sights to see from them, Red Eyes, but I'm wanting to see more, of course, consistency throughout this match.
You know, and when we talk about the panic factor for a lot of these new teams, but I also think it's sort of a double-edged sword in that if you are one of these extremely well-known and accredited teams like, you know, Inko, it could be that false sense of security, just coming in a little overly confident here. And I feel like that's sort of why we see this trend of, you know, tough first days for a lot of pro teams.
Yeah.
And then we see them dialing it back, having their brave heart, you know, pep talk in the background, eating their Wheaties and having a locker room pep talk that just changes the momentum. We've seen it from Wolves countless times, Dauntless, X-Force, Inko, time and time again. So many of these names being new faces, you can't take anything for granted. That you've got it in the bag.
Hey, but Dauntless, they've just got that squad wipe in the bag. Holy, 7 eliminations now to their name. I'm not sure if he's going to get that revive on his teammate, but 4 being on this player alone. And this is a player you want alive, right? The player that's been feeling himself throughout the match. Unfortunately, going to be needing a few more placement points coming into here tonight, Red Eyes. And with this being stage 5 showing currently, we're really wondering where these teams are going to kind of you could say rotate into, because X-Force, they're holding a lot of the center, this western part of the zone. See it up top as well. One team holding dominance. So this eastern side as well as the south, teams are fighting for scraps, whether it's buildings, positions, whatever the case may be. Really need to know which of these teams are going to be able to perform when it matters most. And we see it now as well. Wolves, they're taking the fight, they're taking the action, they're getting the reset right now. Got to see if the action comes through, and we got to see if they're able to get the full reset here.
Pardon
They're
me.
going to be able to get one, another one as well. Yeah, that's going to be another revive. Wolves Esports, they were the team fighting all the way down south there, trying to make do with what's worked. And I actually see that Dauntless player as well, as far to the north. He's made the rotation in.
Yeah, I'm trying to switch on over to these boys here in... I saw just further up north, we got one person left here for Secret Ways, being just swarmed on by the rival 6. And if he's able to escape this, honestly, it's going to be out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about where you're able to kind of end up. We're seeing the vehicle play come in. You know, there's snakers going on this ridgeline alongside him. I'm not sure if he's got the utility usage to work with, but I'm also seeing X-Force all the way out there in that western edge. I want to see if they're able to kind of get that X factor, that initiative going underway, because all these solos, duos being split up, these are free elimination points for the taking, but seeing another squad that they can do with what's in front of them, this far northern ridge line, trying to find the nade knocks, the eliminations. This is that circle shift where we're going to start seeing tons of teams start dropping like flies, and it's all a matter of if you can get those eliminations under your belt. Don't allow these other teams like X-Force, like Wolves, to continue accumulating points like spawns. But now we see it as well. The elimination feed. Wow, I mean, always a Wolves logo. It seems like every other engagement, one player being knocked, another eliminated as well. So just a duo, Red Eyes, but 8 elims under their belts.
Listen,
they're
man,
already starting to soak it up.
This is a slow start, I feel like, for the KOOPS. About as laid back as it's gonna get. I don't expect to see just crazier plays from them moving forward, but time and time again, you can mark my words here. Game 1, day 1 of Grand Finals Enigma. Coups is the outlier of the Wolves, and I don't mean like he is just astronomically better. You know, I mean that he is the outlier role play. Like, he is going to absolutely be the one-off in the 3-1 splits. He is definitely going to be the guy who sneaks behind your back while you're looking forward. And we've seen it time and time again. This man can 1v4 like it is a casual thing.
Yeah, and I feel like we've even seen the dominance per se when it came to America's right. That's where Global, Lobby, Alpha 7, Team Liquid, he was able to take the likes, those 1v1s and 1v2s against Revote, Squash, whatever names you want to throw up here. We have the clips of him doing that. Unfortunately, though, as a squad, they didn't really perform too well in our liking. We would have liked to have seen them. They were just short of qualifying for that World Cup stage that's currently going on in Riyadh. But now, they're not willing to wait, Red Eyes. They're willing to put in the effort now, that sort of practice, that engagement that's needed as a team, trying to iron out the kinks in the armor, making sure that they are able to get back to that PMSL Americas and perform. We understand the capabilities that they have with the players, the resume, that sort of pedigree that comes with the names of Coups and Juancho. But
look at Vinny Diesel here, just whipping it right into reverse. Realized that there was a quick problem, and the hunter became the hunted real fast. All rival 6 just setting the tone for match 1. 7 elims to their name, still a full 4-piece, a little caster curse from Red Eyes, but they still got Toast Sadra and Shu Young up. And honestly, those are 5 of the 7 elims still into just that. Yep, that bread has gotten burnt. Back to lobby.
Hey, listen, Red Eyes, he said Santa Claus isn't real. Get him out of here. We're keeping our names up on the 8 now to their name. And this is the team that had that far northern side I was making note of last circle shift. They've opted to stay there. They cleared out all of the sides, so in the south and that western edge, now being able to kind of crane over, find their mark. But see here now, the likes of X9 Esports trying to kind of play off angles on each other on the rocks. And I'm interested in knowing where these teams are really going to end up, because with it being stage 6, we've got essentially 2 more circle shifts we have to witness, where these teams are going to move. X-Force as well, being the team that's kind of just sat quiet on that western edge, maybe could have found a bit more prowess in the lobby, but nonetheless, still zones waiting to be happened. And see it there as well on the eastern side. Squads moving in. Team Entity, I believe they're at least a duo, maybe a trio, trying to go up to the likes of that northern edge. And we actually see the vehicle rotations. Wow, full usage out of the likes of Wolves and Team Entity, really trying to just pressure teams back. But if you're in one of these center spots, if you're in one of those rock positions like X9 Esports, you're forced into this fight. And X-Force, Wolves Esports, this is your bread and butter. This is where you want these teams to be, and we see it now. Yeah, the elimination feed, it's starting to light up, Red Eyes. Wolves Esports, they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, the Wolves are howling. They're huffing, puffing, and blowing the competition out of the way. I hate my dad jokes, but I can't stop them. And here we see it. Like, this is time and time again the tale of the Wolves. Just maybe setting the tone a little bit slower at the beginning, and then just letting that confidence free in these in games, just really letting that full-out berserker strategy play into effect. They know that they've got the skills on so many of these newer teams. At least they think they do. And you know, what makes what everyone says, to be a professional, you know, esports player, you need a little bit of delusion. So you can bet your bottom dollar that Coups, you know, Guancho, all these recognizable names are for sure coming in here a little bit cocky. I think Coups, we've seen so many times to know that he's just kind of got it. He just kind of got it.
I'll say it best for you, Red Eyes. You got to make sure that your shit doesn't stink compared to the rest of them. And they've got it right now. We see that in the top left. I believe that's 12 eliminations under their belt. 2 players. Looks like having 5 total to their name. But the interesting part now is what Wolves Esports is going to choose to make their rotation. We see this overhead angle. I think they're wondering if this this left side, that southern edge of the circle, is able to make do, or at least be a playable spot for them. But they understand that if they have any sort of over eagerness, over rotation, X-Force will be able to shoot freely on top of them. And see it as well on that far northern side. We're seeing Rival 6 starting to make the move all the way on the edge, trying to clear out Team Entity, or 9 Esports there in the center. So these squads right now, they're really trying to just poke the bear, see who's going to be overstepping, and it's actually going to be a Wolves Esports player beamed through the smoke.
And not a bear, just a wolf.
Be able to get the revive, but that's right on the edge of the circle. I think they might be able to get him up, but oh man, the sticky bomb.
Honestly,
this could be disastrous.
Yeah. This was impressive for 9 Esports to be able to pull off this knock while sandwiched and being focused on from, you know, not just the Wolves Enigma, but Rival 6 behind them. They're literally a 2-man team taking focus when they probably shouldn't, but they're still up and about. And keep in mind, all 4 elims that the team has are between these 2 players still up. I mean, I don't know these names to predict, you know, if we're going to see some outlier, just absolute game-changing in-game performance, but anything can happen.
And that's why we love the game of PUBG Mobile. That's why we all load up. Going on the edge of the smoke, not recognizing where he got knocked originally, but Juancho, he's still in the vehicle, still trying to apply the pressure. Coups as well, essentially going for the reset, but not seeing any frag grenades, only those sticky bombs he already threw earlier on, and now trying to find him through the smoke, but not going to be short enough. No damage dealt. Coups, though, off the revive, did get damage dealt into him, and we see it now on this player angle. Off angles for days on this northern side. It's always about where these players are able to really get shot from, and this is the disastrous position that is for this player, Red Eyes, because he's only got this rock recovery. He just threw a smoke grenade trying to get the angles on the Wolves, but unfortunately it's just not the case. But we're bringing him out of again! Oh, we're that. The miss over on the run over as well. Watch a 1 HP essentially for the shotgun shots if it connects.
And this is a real opportunity for Rival 6 to just third-party steal there, but talk about, you know, M didn't have a lot of options to after he got that knock. I mean, he down to the solo, yeah. I mean, the odds aren't going to be better than that. No. I mean, it's not good odds, but how were they going to get better than? I mean, he already had the focus of them, so there's not really much escaping.
They'd never be able to get better, but unfortunately for Rival 6, they opted to rotate right in front of X-Force. 1 knock going down. Unfortunately, it is going to be a trade for them, but Wolves, they're the team that's a duo right now, Red Eyes. Rival 6 cannot allow themselves to lose any more players. This is their game to win on positioning alone, but Molly's coming through. I think they've kind of spread out a little bit too far. If X-Force can group up and potentially be disastrous if the shots don't connect.
I mean, honestly, I agree with Six's utilities here. Like, all he needs is that one lucky utility, and I think he's got 2 knocks if he does it. And at that point, he's not risking himself for those shots. He's just...
Oh my goodness! A nade just right on top of him, but unfortunately, not going to find the mark. I really hope that nade connected for it, but we're not going to get the knock into a solo, but he's finding it through the smoke. One player remaining, make it 9 for 10 and 6, and now I believe we're in a 1v1v1 scenario, trying to get the reset, but no smokes, no heals. I think they're just leaving them down and dry. That's going to be Valak eliminated.
Oh my god. Well,
Red Eyes, the smokes. I don't know how many he's got. Yeah,
just going to show how critical those are at an end. But I mean, let's give it up regardless. Oh!
Wow! Let him know.
X-Force.
Chicken dinner. I mean, X-Force, baby. You come in from the compound. You make do with what's working. No vehicles to work with. I don't even think they had med kits for these squads, Red Eyes, but nonetheless, they come in and they win it out for these teams. And for X-Force, that's a blessing, right? You understood that Wolves Esports was one of those final squads in the lobby. You understand that they had the eliminations under their belt, and with them losing Fate early on, they had to play that match as just a 3-man alone, right, Red Eyes? But nonetheless, they come in, and that 1v1 at the end, damn, that was really just something special.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is literally just one match. That's just ERANGEL, the first map ever introduced to the game. And Enigma knows the spiel. This is by far supposed to be your most comfortable map, the one you're most energized and familiar with. But Enigma, what's going to happen when we change up the geography a little bit and migrate to a little desert destruction, so to speak, a little violence in the sand? Well,
hey, the violence in the sands, baby, that's what we love the most, right? The tornadoes, any of that stuff. Unfortunately, we don't have that in these competitive room cards, so to speak. But Red Eyes, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Chat, don't go anywhere. We're going to be going to a highlights package. When we come back, though, the full breakdown of match 1 coming your way.
Be back soon.
Wolves Esports cleaning them up. Must be either a southern rotation from one of the teams or all the way to the western edge. Now we see it. Wolves Esports trying to swim across. X-Force, I believe, understands he's there. Yep. Oh, and they don't even get the elimination point. Drowns out. X-Force really punch in the air. Only 1 elimination. They would have had 2 if they had gotten that player. But nonetheless, now we see it as well in the elimination feed. An Inko member. One ran over. Another one full AUG sprayed, knocked. Inko Gaming, our top performing squad from the professional division, the pro squads lobby, getting made light work. Straight out on a fall. That's going to be 4 eliminations to their name, it looks like. And for us to win, man, I mean, this is a team that we've seen them perform. Unfortunately, it hasn't been in those moments for land qualification. So, nice sights to see from them, Red Eyes, but I'm wanting to see more, of course, consistency throughout this match.
You know, and when we talk about the panic factor for a lot of these new teams, but I also think it's sort of a double-edged sword in that if you are one of these extremely well-known and accredited teams like, you know, Inko, it could be that false sense of security, just coming in a little overly confident here. And I feel like that's sort of why we see this trend of, you know, tough first days for a lot of pro teams. And then we see them dialing it back, having their Braveheart, you know, pep talk in the background, eating their Wheaties and having a locker room pep talk that just changes the momentum. We've seen it from Wolves countless times. Dauntless, X-Force, Inko, time and time again. So many of these names being new faces, you can't take anything for granted. That you've got
1 elimination. I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask, is if you are Kin, you know, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's gonna happen beneficially here. You know, you have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might not know who we are, but we're gonna go ahead and 1v4 CBK right here off the rip. I don't think so. No, he's lost all his resources. It's going to be a complete strategy shift. It's going to be about making it to that end game and just acquiring what placement points you possibly can for the team. And at this point, it's damage reduction.
Yeah, and damage reduction. Unfortunately, I believe it was 4 sexy frogs that had the eliminations earlier on from Wolves Esports. Now, feeling the brute force of Noobs Esports, getting one, maybe even two eliminations, was not eyeing it too closely, and seeing it now the solo, he's starting to move his way in, but the squad fight, it's still going on the Eastern Edge, and I could have sworn Noobs Esports was going to be winning it out, but it looks like a solo for each team in the water. We're playing ducks.
Yeah, we got
fish in a barrel. I don't even know what to say about this right now.
Some competing Michael Phelps water snakes.
Oh, is he reviving? I think he's going for it.
I think he might be, brother.
Oh, man. This is big, though, but the other teammate, we see that
Oh!
Noobs Esports. Is he getting a heal off there? No! Through the water. I'm not sure if that was the play to be done. But...
I mean, risky as it was, 4SF was able to just pull off something that they realistically... I mean, what just happened? And at this point, they're going to have the time to heal up and then just pick winner off at their own pace. This is, well, winter came early, unfortunately for him. This is going to be a short one. And, boy, those heat waves are hitting hard with that.
One elimination, I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask, because if you are Kin, you know, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's going to happen beneficially here. You know, you have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might not know who we are, but we're going to go ahead and 1v4 CBK right here off the rip. I don't think so. No, he's lost all his resources. It's going to be a complete strategy shift. It's going to be about making it to that in-game and just acquiring what placement points you possibly can for the team. And at this point, it's damage reduction.
Yeah, and damage reduction. Unfortunately, I believe it was 4 Sexy Frogs that had the eliminations earlier on from Wolves Esports. Now, feeling the brute force of Noobs Esports, getting one, maybe even two eliminations, was not eyeing it too closely, and seeing it now the solo, he's starting to move his way in, but the squad fight, it's still going on the Eastern Edge, and I could have sworn Noobs Esports was going to be winning it out, but it looks like a solo for each team in the water. We're playing ducks.
Yeah, we got
fish in a barrel. I don't even know what to say about this right now.
Some competing Michael Phelps water snakes.
Oh, is he reviving? I think he's going for it.
I think he might be, brother.
Oh, man. This is big, though, but the other teammate, we see that Noobs Esports. Is he getting a heal off there? No! Through the water. I'm not sure if that was the play to be done. But...
I mean, risky as it was, 4SF was able to just pull off something that they realistically... I mean, what just happened? And at this point, they're going to have the time to heal up and then just pick winner off at their own pace. This is, well, winter came early, unfortunately for him. This is going to be a short one. And, boy, those heat waves are hitting hard with that stage.
Yeah, and I mean, slim to none, unfortunately. 4 Sexy Frogs now, I believe, getting full wiped out of the lobby. It's going to be Wolves Esports cleaning them up. Must be their southern rotation from one of the teams or all the way to the western edge. Now we see it. Noobs Esports trying to swim across X-Force. I believe understands he's there. Yep. Oh, and they don't even get the elimination point. Drowns out. X-Force really punched in the air. Only one elimination. They would have had 2 if they had gotten that player. But nonetheless, now we see it as well in the elimination feed. An Inko member. One ran over. Another one full odds sprayed. Knocked. Inko Gaming, our top performing squad from the professional division, the pro squads lobby, getting made light work. Straight out on the fall. That's going to be 4 eliminations for their name, it looks like. And rest of win, man. I mean, this is a team that we've seen them perform. Unfortunately, it hasn't been in those moments for land qualification. So, nice sights to see from them, Red Eyes, but I wanted to see more, of course, consistency.
Yeah, you know, I mean, when we talk about the panic factor for a lot of these new teams, but I also think it's sort of a double-edged sword in that if you are one of these extremely well-known and accredited teams, like, you know, Inko, it could be that false sense of security, just coming in a little overly confident here, and I feel like that's sort of why we see this trend of, you know, tough first days for a lot of pro teams.
Yeah.
And then we see them dialing it back, having their brave heart, you know, pep talk in the background, eating their Wheaties and having a locker room pep talk that just changes the momentum. We've seen it from Wolves countless times. Dauntless, X-Force, Inko, time and time again. So many of these names being new faces, you can't take anything for granted. That you've got at stage.
Yeah, that was slim to none. Unfortunately, 4 sexy frogs now, I believe, getting full wipe out of lobby. It's going to be Wolves Esports cleaning them up. Must be their southern rotation from one of the teams or all the way to the western edge. Now we see it. Coups Esports trying to swim across exports, I believe. Hello and welcome back, everyone, to day number 1 of the PMCI Season 4 Grand Finals. We've already watched one match, that being ERANGEL, for the likes of it. Commencing, and now Red Eyes, we're heading into Miramar, the desert, that sort of map that everyone has that love-hate relationship with. I certainly do for the most part. I know you do as well. But that last game, Red Eyes, we've got a lot to talk about. What was kind of sticking out to you that came to that first match?
Rival 6. Rival 6 certainly building the momentum basically from the get-go and carrying it all the way into an endgame and doing so pretty evenly dispersed amongst their team, but also X9 Esports, you know, a name that is new to me on the record, making it not all the way to the very end, but making it to pretty far up the end game, getting some placement points, and even as a two-piece sandwiched in between, who was it, Wolves and maybe I think it was Wolves and Rival 6 or something, you know, just really impressive for a high-pressure situation, game 1, day 1. This is usually kind of where we see a lot of the lesser experienced players letting that be known in quick, breezy mistakes. But I got to say, it certainly seems like a pretty solid start for both of those teams.
Yeah, and for the start, for the most part, let's just bring up that sort of match results for everyone to kind of understand what we're talking about. Because these teams, this last lobby, obviously Wolves, they had that elimination ranking under their belt for the most part. But when it came to those sort of elimination tallies, it's going to be Rival 6 finishing at the top part of the graphics. That's going to be 12 total elimination points. And for the placements as well, obviously we saw X-Force walk away with that winner chicken dinner. Only 7 eliminations under their belt. And the surprising thing as well is that they had Fate knocked down and eliminated early on in that match. So the positioning, the team play at the end there, we saw that sort of do or die smoke send initiative come through, allowing themselves to get those 17 points. And it's really a surprise. I thought we were going to see 4, if not 5 teams potentially reaching that sort of double-digit total point counter. But we only see the 3, right, Red Eyes, first, second, and third place, 2 of them being names we know and love, that being X-Force and Wolves. But Rival 6, like you said, as well as X9, performing well against these top dogs.
Performing so well that even without the chicken dinner, finding themselves 1 point ahead of the team who did. And the professional, you know, hovercraft goats. But Enigma, as we know to be the case, you know, that's ERANGEL.
Yeah.
And different maps, different geography, different strategies. And I say this time and time again, but Miramar is such an open spaced map that it's going to be a lot more sniper intensive. And yeah, you might have found your flow in ERANGEL, but on Miramar, man, you cannot let your guard down. You have to have it on a 360-degree swivel, not just for your immediate vicinity, but basically up to 300 yards back, you know, 300 meters back. You're always vulnerable from some point in Miramar.
Yeah, and for Miramar especially, I think it's just all about where you're able to kind of position and find yourself. That first few circle shifts really don't matter too much when it comes to our more dominant squads, but we see it here now. Game number 2, the PMCI Grand Final, season number 4, day number 1 commencing right now. And for the playing path, it's looking a little ugly in my eyes, Red Eyes, that far sort of northeastern side. Yeah, if you land at Campo Militar, you might be loving it, but down there in the southwest, Chuma Serra, even I guess you could say Monte Nuevo, bit of a stretch for some of these teams. And we know Wolves Esports, they love that Monte drop, so we expect that sort of 2-step rotation, as Carnage like to quote it as. But for the most part, this is one of those events that you've got to be coming in here and understanding what is at stake. We're talking top 2 move on from this event into that Premier Division Finals, or excuse me, Premier Division qualifiers, while the rest of you, you're fighting for that $3,000 on the line, that check, that sort of cheddar that you're looking at. Which rat's going to be walking away with the biggest piece in their mouth? But Red Eyes, baby, the Miramar, and They always play a favorite to some.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about it there and then, but let's be realistic, Enigma. I mean, yeah, the money is nice. $3,000 is nice, but that's split 4 ways. The real money is gonna come from, advancing to Titan Series, closing in on the Premier League, and then advancing on to PMSL, where there's some really, life-changing amounts of cash on the table. I mean, this is, you want to make it to the pro circuit and you're not there yet, well, you got 17 more games to leave that mark here. And
yeah,
literally, when you think about it in that light, every single match is so crucial.
Well, the matches themselves, obviously one team I'm kind of eyeing right now that did not perform well that last match, obviously, is going to be Inko Gaming. They're one of our first squads eliminated, as well as Punjab. That was a team that landed right next to Dauntless on the likes of them. But the difference between those two rosters, Red Eyes, is Inko Gaming is a team that we know and love. That's a team that has been around in North America and other regions for the longest, but comparing it to all these other teams that maybe we haven't heard of, we expected some of these teams, maybe you're only gonna get those 1, 2, 3 eliminations under your belt, while the rest of these teams like Wolves, like X-Force, any game that is not a top 3, top 4 with double-digit eliminations is lackluster.
But I 100% agree, and I do think that there is kind of a flip side to that coin, in that, if you are Inko Gaming, you're probably not going to let a bad game 1 performance throw you off your focus too much. I mean, that's these players are too experienced, too well disciplined at that pro level to really let one game be your undoing. At least I hope. But say a team like, let's say, Share, I mean, I could totally see a rough game 1. I mean, I don't know what to expect from them, so I look at them as like an open tier, It could be anything, that tier 2, tier 3, maybe, obviously they worked their way here, so maybe along that lines of professional performance. But I certainly don't expect Inko to be on a full tilt this early on.
Yeah, no, we expect that, that mental reset button comes into play. But 2 teams that did perform well last game, this is going to be centered up around Crater Field. It's a bit of a split cut for some of these teams. That's going to be X-Force against the likings of X9 Esports up on the hillside. And the SKS, get a bit of a better scope. I would have had the faith on him maybe getting a few extra headshots, but unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. Damage traded, damage done between both squads. The vehicle is going to be kind of my main part I'm looking at on what you'd maybe want to focus early on in these rotations. But X-Force, they understand the situation. They're getting the hell out of Dodge, going straight north towards their POI drop. And I'm interested in seeing, how X-Force is able to keep maybe more than just the 3 players alive. I believe it was Fate. One first, knocked and eliminated last match early on. I want to see these teams, especially in this sort of level 2 lobby. I mean, Red Eyes, we're talking they came just out of Brazil against the likes of Alpha 17, Liquid, Intense Game even. Those squads, they do not allow you to get away with playing down as a man advantage. And Rene, yeah, maybe you're fine being able to play as a 3-man. We saw it with the last game, but coming into today, I'm wanting to see your team really iron out the mistakes. Do not let yourself get lackluster, get out of form, per se, compared to what you know and love and what you expect that competition to be later on in the stages of these tournaments. Because if we talked about it, Red Eyes, at the start of the show, this is essentially the very beginning, the very starting point for teams in this middle part of the year. For you to get to Titan Series, to potentially qualify to that Brazil event, you've got to start here. You've got to qualify your way through. And yeah, I get it. Wolves, Esports, X-Force, we expect you to kind of be moving forward here. But these other teams, maybe they want it more than you. Maybe they're hungrier than you in terms of wanting to get that sort of positioning, those eliminations, that sort of team game sense going while you were over there smelling the roses. But luckily, Red Eyes, Miramar, I don't think it's really got too many flowers now that I'm thinking about it. But nonetheless, these teams, you and I both understand it. We've got to see the points start early, and we've got to see the consistency, not just from today, but the next 2 following days as well.
That's right. I mean, if you're looking at a brand new team entering into the PMCI Grand Finals here, coming in on day 1 of the Grand Finals, well, essentially, you are a story. And you don't want the prologue of your story to be sent back to lobby round 1, eliminated 18th. That is gonna for sure. You know, we talk about it. This mental factor, the momentum, the confidence, the mental game has to be strong. Because there's going to be adversity for every one of these teams. There's going to be bad performances, little mistakes from Inko, from the Wolves, all of them. But it's how they react and adjust and accommodate to those mistakes that's going to decide how they play moving forward. And yeah, if you're like, say, full sense, we don't know. I'd say, you know, if I were to see them get wrecked, eliminated 16th, 17th place, I think it would probably be a rough day one altogether for them. Because that kind of, if you're new into this pro circuit, that can absolutely just destroy your focus.
Yeah, well, the focus now, it looks like Inko Gaming, I believe it was, finding an eliminated. Game 1 was really just a fluke. Not going to be their repetitive nature throughout the night. We also see it as well. 4 sexy frogs making their rotation. This is going to be all the way on that central eastern edge. La Bendita being just to the north. A little bit of vehicle swaps. Not sure I would have liked to have actually seen the UAVs come into play over the buggy, but nonetheless, they're the ones playing now, not me. Inko Gaming now. We see it. They're craning their eyes down towards, I believe that's going to be just one POI spot.
Yeah, and they're
western edge, and I don't know. I'm not really too big of a fan of this compound here, Red Eyes. Now that I'm seeing it, the wall is great and all, but this ridge line that's just over it in front of 7 here,
so
it
much
just
high
looks
ground.
like it's too much of an angle, I think, for one player maybe to be able to manage.
Yeah, I got to agree with you 100%, just especially on Miramar, where geography can vary so much, and there's so many divots and different geographical advantages every which way you look. There's so much variation in altitude that this wall means only blocked from almost there. That's one team that you've got some cover from. I wouldn't feel safe there, especially not with those mountains and high ground right on your 6. But this is, again, you know, this is Inko Gaming, a team that is hyper confident, hyper experienced. It's hard for me to rationally criticize it this early on, but yeah, no, it does feel like a pretty vulnerable entire backside unaccounted for. And look at the map, and on the top right, we are seeing another team flowing into the south end, I guess from the north.
Oh,
and it's secret
flowing
waves.
in is a little bit of an understatement. They were full sending up here on the squad. First one tried, true and tested, not good. No support from the teammates, and this is the issue. This compound, too many ridges around the outside of it, but we're seeing it. Not just these 3 squads, Red Eyes. What would be better than 3, 4 teams looking at you, and we see it now. They're actually leaving them hung out to dry. Both teams taking a casualty of Inko Gaming. You're really hating the fact that they decided to pull up and do that sort of trade play, but for them, they've still got other squads to deal with. We're seeing a lot of these teams really come to fight. This northern edge of the hillside being the main focus. You don't want to be giving any knocks and clears to the Red Eyes. You just got the one under your belt. You got to make sure you keep the man advantage on your side of it, but for Inko Gaming, man, we got to bring it back to him, because Vitali, we saw it, McGrellin and 7 both had off angles, but nonetheless, just not able to find the support, and getting thirsted is just not the start you want on Miramar.
I agree. I mean, like, every bit of me is a little bit concerned when I see, you know, only one elim, but it's just the concluding portions of stage 2. It's Inko Gaming for crying out loud. I mean, these are the heavyweights, you know. These are the absolute boss tier competition. So having this kind of rough start, it does make me wonder if I cast or curse the mental.
Yeah, I mean, the mental, that's where you know you have the power of Red Eyes, is when you're casting, you say, man, who do I want to just ruin their day
That's right.
in this match. And I mean, I don't mind it one bit. I was saying Inko Gaming early, they got that elimination early on. They trying to find their mark, and then they get full sent by a team and lose the player. But nonetheless, we're seeing another squad now taking the fight. X9 Esports onto Noob Esports. Be just a 1v1 dynamic going down. Both players holding nades under their way. Not able to see if the damage is going to connect. It actually looks like a 1-for-0 trade almost in terms of the damage department.
Think about this. Like, this is a lot of opportunity for Crazy and the teammates to push forward, provide some assistance. I mean, CatGod does not have any direct support. You can see him way off in the distance. If they make it there before Im's teammates, well, I got to boil that down to the experience of 9
Esports. It's all about if you can win it out. Big damage on the game. Okay. Well, he's going to find the mark on it. Both players getting the knocks down and dusted. And fortunately for them, 9 Esports, they were able to get that revive as well. And that other engagement going down. Now we turn our sights towards Dauntless. This is going to be on that far northwestern edge. Deportations, they come into play, but the elimination count, they're only sitting at 1 here, Red Eyes. I wanted to see a little bit more on Dauntless, but with it being so early on in the stages, I do expect them to have a bit more time to work with.
And double that, because they're up against X-Force, another team that they are so well familiarized with. I mean, they probably know each other's play styles, drop spots like the back of their own hand. So I do think that this could boil down to a confrontation that might end up taking a while to unfold. Especially given the context, it's still just the first half of game 1. You know, understandably so. But as we move forward into the second leg of today, I do expect to see a lot more risk and impulsivity from those more experienced teams who know each other's plays.
I think you've got to kind of get the rust off each map. Luckily for them, they're able to play each map twice on the following days. Obviously today, we're talking ERANGEL, Miramar, Sanhok, and then back to that ERANGEL, Miramar, Sanhok to finish off the night. So these teams, obviously X-Force and the likes of them, if you understand the struggles or that sort of positioning, that engagement. Sometimes though, even if you're going against Prime, Nova Esports, the likes of Alpha 7 that had won Worlds and stuff like that, if that's the spot you're looking for, if that's the only light at the end of the tunnel, it's behind them. You still got to have that delusion in you to find your mark and go through it. And now we see it, some other teams, they're struggling to take the initiative their way. We're seeing, it's going to be Shuri Punjab taking 1 knockdown on the revive going underway. That's going to be Team Entity holding the mountaintop just to their south. This is the prime position, the real estate that teams love. And the mountaintop, I'm not sure if you wanted the SLR, but you don't always get to choose what you work with, Red Eyes. We see the congestion down now onto the compound. The revive did come through. Actually, no, he's still crawling in the smoke. I'm wanting to see now, Team Entity, got to push the initiative here, Red Eyes. You got to go for those knocks and those eliminations.
I mean, I agree, but I feel like Team Entity is exercising a bit of discipline here, because look at this spread, getting multiple angles, and once, maybe 1 knock on this 3-piece, it's a likely finish, but I could totally see with these off angles a reason for waiting for that second revive, waiting for someone to kind of push out for that revive, and then biding their time and just clustering in around the opposition. But even as I say it, I'm watching Entity fall back from a situation where they essentially did have the advantage in their favor. But hey, we talked about this just a few short moments ago. Some of these newer teams, lesser experience maybe, and there might be little split seconds of hesitation that might be a little bit more telling of that.
Well, the tell is, that's always kind of the hard thing, right? It's almost like we're playing poker, and you don't want to really allow these other teams to understand the position you're in. Unfortunately, though, in some of these sort of later end positions, you're not really able to kind of give it to them, but nonetheless, those goals, they well on the already, but the that group as well gets 2 players down. Wait a minute. Oh, he almost gets the third, but 1 HP remaining, and unfortunately, Valak, he's going to be left on his lonesome. I'm not sure what happened.
I know what happened.
With those rotation
I know what happened.
Eyes, but
they knew that that was a risk. That was a risk, and they kept Valak as their coin in the back pocket. Yes, they did. Valak was the man in a shack, and you know it is true. That they were diversifying their portfolio and saying, hey, if we are not going to come out victorious off this push, we need to at least try to secure some sort of security, some sort of placement points, at least damage reduction. And speaking of securing, can Inko secure this positioning here when they've got not one but 2 lines of opposition here? They've got almost there alongside the 4 sexy frogs, but I only see 2 sexy frogs here of the 4. But yeah, this could be one of those situations that amounts, as I was saying before, Enigma, to a bit of a standstill, a bit of a battle of waiting time.
Well, the waiting time is always kind of the main thing, but the one thing that really decides the positioning for these teams is really ultimately going to be how the circle shift ends up. Because we're in stage 4. These teams, or excuse me, we're still actually very early on in the match, but nonetheless, these teams, if I'm seeing a lot of squads centered up, this is the POI that's around that center mark of the map. We saw as well in the north that sort of team that was kind of anchored down on the mountaintop, being able to control all of the northern side, but even still, this is how it results into it. Now, squads on the secret ways, the engagements all the way on the northeast.
Somebody better tell him the secret is out, my man.
Actually.
The secret is out.
Solo.
Yeah, Payne is feeling the karma of his name right now, as he is just swimming in a pool of straight out of Nepal oppositions, and then boom, out of the frying pan into the fire. He is the bologna of this peanut butter and trouble sandwich, and Dauntless is the other piece of deli bread right there. He is stuck in between a rock, a hard place, and into the esports. This is honestly not a good position in any way you look at it, and I don't see a situation where him making his location and presence known, even for a third-party elim steal, is going to come out beneficial here. I think it's going to be his immediate undoing.
Yeah, I mean, the undoing, unfortunately, we see the circle shift not going to be in his favor. He's going to have to work towards that southwestern edge. He is having 6 eliminations already as a squad, 3 of them, or excuse me, 2 of them being under his belt. We're currently watching, but we see now Dauntless ever so slightly creeping onto the top of the hillside. They might be able to spot the vehicle, understand maybe what's going on, but the issue is, Red Eyes, is all these teams on this far northern edge, they're going to have to make the same rotation in towards team entity that's held that sort of mountaintop. And now we see it, 4 sexy frogs, they're taking the initiative onto almost there. Both squads that haven't really performed too well in that last match we just saw, but now seeing teams taking the engagements. And now Dauntless, they found one on a team entity. Wait a second, they have a possibility now of potentially moving forward to revive. It is going to delay him a little bit, Red Eyes, but the rotation's got to be crisp from him afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an interesting situation. This is going to be where we really see, is this going to be experience versus inexperience? Because they're operating on a 2-1 split here. They're really trying to take essentially where their numbers and surround the opposition, kind of add that panic factor onto shit, and really kind of take advantage of that panic factor. But again, this finds itself as it's Dauntless, a team that has been, I don't want to say, just inconsistent at times. Dauntless can be inconsistent at times. Same case as we said for X-Force, just maybe a different strategy to get there. But this definitely felt like a situation where they had the opportunity there, they had the pressure, but no real knocks to move on.
And the knocks, I mean, I think that's going to be the main deciding factor. I'm not sure if Dauntless understands that this is actually going to be pure Punjab here in the compound, and it's not going to be team entity holding a full split. But now they're starting to take some angles. I see the gun barrel there on the edge of the window,
but I think you're right.
Nonetheless, I'm not sure if they'll even look.
Look what Sherpa's doing.
If they got the knock, but
that little bit of scouting info. And now this might look, like hyper risky to some of the newer viewers, but this is essential scouting on a map like Sanhok, and a little bit of freebie ilims, and that's Sherpa bringing them up to 4 elims, spread evenly throughout them. Everybody eats.
As long as there's enough for me at the end of it, okay? The winner chicken dinners, it only goes to one team, but hey, you can kind of spare a wing or a leg or something for me. But nonetheless, circle shift, it's starting to close ever so slightly more. This is going to be, I believe it's going to be legacy and control down here on the southeastern edge. Lost General on the outside of it. These teams, yeah, they've got the compound cover here, Red Eyes, but this is the notion that I was making at earlier. This is the point now where you're going to have to start making moves. Now we're actually trying to take the initiative on SON, but we're full 4-man setup. 1 knock and elimination down. Make it almost 2 from the SON snipers deep down on the mountain, but circle shift. Southwest. All these teams I'm interested in rotating around, but you gotta be careful.
Look at their
north side. What is that? Dauntless, I think it is. Trying to make the move.
The big bad Dauntless coming in. And the seems totally distracted here.
They know now. I think the smoke's down. It's kind of given that notion they understand the situation, but they just got another knock down south on the legacy and control. So if you're SON, you've got to make this do or die decision. I think now try to hold your position, maybe allow the reset, or do you full send into it? We're seeing as well. It's going to be almost there against CBK Esports off in Narnia, taking the engagements 1 down on each team. Inko Gaming as well, finding their mark. Full invested in the center side. You were building it up earlier. The positioning has to come through, and now Inko Gaming, they've lost 1 player already, but the eliminations, the number of players in this POI is just astronomical numbers right now.
That is going to be the briefest statement we've ever said, because it's going to be a matter of seconds before these guys are dropping like mosquitoes in the... Speaking of which, straight out of Nepal, going right into Legacy of Control's nightmares, and Skills finding himself out of those and deep, sent down to the deep below. Looks like we've got more altercations here on the board as the Wolves throwing themselves right into the next altercation as soon as they possibly can. We see Juancho trying to get a line on CBK. CBK pretty distracted by Knight from almost there, but a little bit of hesitation from Knight, and understandably so. He has been a solo here for his team for a bit of time now, and give him credit where credit is due. He's made it to the placement bracket. He's made those to the bracket of at least getting placement points. So now, Enigma, every second that he can stay alive is extremely crucial. More important than getting elims or third-party elim steals. This is going to be a situation where every team eliminated is more points on the board for him, and almost there. So yeah, it's well within his interest to lay low under the radar and let these teams do the work for him. Let those numbers dwindle and just play objectively smart with the numbers.
Scared about
no emotions.
Well, the one team I'm kind of scared about right now, we see it on the bottom. Sexy Frogs. You said it was just 2 of them remaining. Unfortunately for them, though, the vehicle, this is the trouble with finding the buildings early on in these POIs, is you got to find the ones that allow you to save your vehicles. Unfortunately for them, they allowed Inko Gaming to overtake that warehouse to their west, not having the vehicles left, because at the end of it all, this next circle shift that's going to pop soon here, Red Eyes, if it shifts off of them, they're essentially ducks in the water, right? They're going to be completely in the open. These other teams as well, but wait a second. Oh my God.
Wolves are getting ready to
spread
out. They are going to spread those wings and fly one way or the other. They say, we're about to do something risky. Get your cameras on us. You know we're getting ready for something fancy. It's like in Karate Kid, where he starts holding up his leg for the crane kick 15 minutes before he actually does the kick. I feel like that's what we're getting with Wicks up there on the top. This spread here is going to be a real interesting situation. A, because Wolves are on the outskirts of this zone. But B, because it's Wolves, man. I mean, I think if anything, they're going to somehow find a way to, even on the outskirts, add that pressure factor and maybe even use Inko and Almost position in their favor. Essentially,
the big thing, Red Eyes, with Wolves Esports is they have their back, essentially this whole ridge line that no one else is able to shoot at. They're able to completely control this far the southern edge, and yeah, I believe they had 7 eliminations already, but We see it with and Inko Gaming still being down there. This allows Wolves Esports, we see it there on the elimination feed, to start under their belt. That solo you were mentioning earlier, they've ratted in on that western fully inside the zone. Inko Gaming now being the focus from Wolves Esports. We gotta be careful. SON edge, and I don't think he's really realized just yet how many members are kind of standing on both these teams he's holding. But Wolves Esports, I think you've got to start congesting down a bit here, Red Eyes.
I mean,
you got to start looking for these engagements as a squad.
I mean, maybe, but I think that's not really what they're I don't think that's what they're trying to do. I think realistically, they're trying to hold that positioning and kind of keep the pressure factor in terms of keeping everyone else from pushing up, like Inko is trying to do right here. But I don't think that they were essentially trying to secure any elims. Like, we would have seen
that
a
angle.
push.
He's back up there. He's back up top, Red, and that's going to be Inko Gaming there. But imagine if he was on the next. He's on the next building. He's shot as well, so Dauntless. That's going to be a team that understands his positioning, but every other squad, SON, as well as Inko Gaming, they don't understand his position. Early and
he's huffing.
No,
he's about to be puffing.
Is what he's doing right now. We need to get those connections down because now Red Eyes is gaming. You understand the spot you're in. Hopefully, we're able to see a nade connection. But first comes first. If one it could be disastrous, but the shots come through. Your head down, and Inko Gaming, they're on the
This is Wolves' advantage every which way you look at it. They had the numbers favor. They had the high ground favor. They had the utilities, you know, kind of fighting Inko's utilities fighting against the odds where, you know, we see Wolves working in their favor. Really picking off a team that you would think might add that panic and pressure factor. But it's Wolves.
Wow.
And look at Juancho. Did the trigonometry, calculated, did some math, and sunk some battleships right there. Caster cursed for claws.
The ships in the night, whatever terminology you want to say. Unfortunately, we would have liked that in the last match, right? This game being Miramar, we're riding the
sea of sand, my friend. A sea of sand.
Hey, whatever the case may be, but Dauntless now, this is going to be the center squad holding this warehouse building. One player knocked. I actually do believe they're all four stacked in this building here, but the circle shift, the sort of zone constricting down in these teams. We see the hillside here. SON down south east. Wolves Esports trying to wrap around with Dauntless, trying to keep their head through the one. So I mean, he's just laying dimes out here like he's the banker. Finding Klaus on the knock, and now the rest of these players on Dauntless, you've got to really be careful because here you go. So Dauntless, you get that spectator POV. No one's up there, but this is the issue. When you hold the center spot, the world looks like.
Yeah, this is going to be maybe make some mistakes. Realistically, we've seen it before. Those split-second hesitation. That revive, if there was a push on it, but that revive had about 3 or 4 honest seconds where pushing towards it made genuine sense and go for it, to risk it. But after that, you know, I do think, Dauntless is kind of given a second chance at life here at the hesitation of Wolves.
And I think the big issue was that player stayed way too long on the top side of the sort of water stack there, just a little bit here. And Wolves player knocked and eliminated from the Dauntless nade. So Wolves, I don't know, a little bit too much more than they can chew. Team Entity now making their way in on that far left side. Dauntless and Wolves now understanding the lay of the land, the positioning of the remaining squads in the lobby. We're talking top 4 situation. SON 3-man on the east. Wolves 2-man on the south. And Dauntless now being the only squad with all 4 players remaining, Red Eyes. And I think if you're Dauntless, you've got to somehow force SON to fight Wolves. You don't want to be the team that gets third party, so to speak. You want to be the team that gets to run up to get the free pickings, and now we see it. Wolves,
I'll tell you how you do that.
At least get second here.
It's going to be just keeping their numbers, staying still, to not be welcome into their territory. And look, Dauntless able to do a little bit more than able to take advantage of that distraction, and look at him.
I mean, Coups as well, just unfortunately lined up on that hillside by the solo. That was SON, and now 2 players remaining. Both players still up. Dauntless taking a lot of damage, and he's swinging the edge, but his teammate hears it. Down to solo, now Mason through, but solo is all for naught. We're seeing it.
There it is.
They came in from that north side, right, but ultimately at the end they were able to come through and capitalize when it matters most. That's the stuff we love seeing. Right?
I'll say it like this, Enigma. They might be dauntless, but they are not dubless. They have got the dub already, round 2, and honestly, in lieu of me kind of having my doubts there, they were given this second grace here from a split second of hesitation from the Wolves. That split second of hesitation to push on a weakened Dauntless. Well, they're a professional team as well. They've got the experience to keep their heads level-headed, keep their calm in those high-pressure situations, and focus on what they got to do. Get their last boy up, lay low, let those numbers, let them focus on each other, pick the right time to strike, and Dauntless did it in full form. Just going to show the kinds of levels of calm at a final zone in game that you only really see from just experienced pro teams.
Yeah, and that's why we see it, right? Dauntless coming out with the win at the end, and for the most part, 4 players coming into the match, 4 players living. That's gonna be it for game number 2, guys. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna be going to a quick break, but when we come back, the full breakdown of Miramar coming your way. Yeah, and I mean, slim to none, unfortunately. One elimination, I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask, if you are Ken, you know, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's gonna happen beneficially here. You know, you have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might not know who we are, but we're gonna go ahead and 1v4 CBK right here off the rip. I don't think so. No, he's lost all his resources. It's going to be a complete strategy shift. It's going to be about making it to that in-game and just acquiring what placement points you possibly can for the team. And at this point, it's damage reduction.
Yeah, and damage reduction, unfortunately, I believe it was 4 sexy frogs that had the eliminations earlier on from Wolves Esports. Now, feeling the brute force of Noobs Esports, getting 1, maybe even 2 eliminations, was not eyeing it too closely, and seeing it now the solo, he's starting to move his way in, but this squad fight, it's still going on the Eastern Edge, and I could have sworn Noobs Esports was going to be winning it out, but it looks like a solo for each team in the water. We're playing ducks.
Yeah, we got
fish in a barrel. I don't even know what to say about this right now.
We got like some competing Michael Phelps water snakes.
Oh, is he reviving? I think he's going for it.
I think he might be, brother.
Oh, man. This is big, though, but the other teammate, we see that Noobs Esports. Is he getting a heal off there? No! Through the water. I'm not sure if that was the play to be done. But...
I mean, risky as it was, 4SF was able to just pull off something that they realistically... I mean, what just happened? And at this point, they're going to have the time to heal up and then just pick winner off at their own pace. This is, well, winter came early, unfortunately for him. This is going to be a short one. And, boy, those heat waves are hitting hard with that.
1 elimination, I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask, if you are Ken, you know, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's going to happen beneficially here. You know, you have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might not know who we are, but we're going to go ahead and 1v4 CBK right here off the rip. I don't think so. No, he's lost all his resources. It's going to be a complete strategy shift. It's going to be about making it to that in-game and just acquiring what placement points you possibly can for the team. And at this point, it's damage reduction.
Yeah, and damage reduction, unfortunately, I believe it was 4 sexy frogs that had the eliminations earlier on from Wolves Esports. Now, feeling the brute force of Noobs Esports, getting 1, maybe even 2 eliminations, was not eyeing it too closely, and seeing it now the solo, he's starting to move his way in, but this squad fight, it's still going on the Eastern Edge, and I could have sworn Noobs Esports was going to be winning it out, but it looks like a solo for each team in the water. We're playing ducks.
Yeah, we got
fish in a barrel. I don't even know what to say about this right now.
We got like some competing Michael Phelps water snakes.
Oh, is he reviving? I think he's going for it.
I think he might be, brother.
Oh, man. This is big, though, but the other teammate, we see
Oh!
that New Z Sports. Is he getting a heal off there? No! To the water! I'm not sure if that was the play to be done, but...
I mean, risky as it was, 4SF was able to just pull off something that they realistically... I mean, what just happened? And at this point, they're going to have the time to heal up and then just pick winner off at their own pace. This is, well, winter came early, unfortunately for him. This is going to be a short one. And, boy, those heat waves are hitting hard with that stage.
Yeah, and I mean, slim to none. Unfortunately, 4 sexy frogs now, I believe, getting full wipe out of the lobby. It's going to be Wolves Esports cleaning them up. Must be either a southern rotation from one of the teams or all the way to the western edge. Now we see it. Noobs Esports trying to swim across X-Force. I believe understands he's there. Yep. Oh, and they don't even get the elimination point. Drowns out. X-Force really punching the air. Only 1 elimination. They would have had 2 if they had gotten that player. But nonetheless, now we see it as well in the elimination feed. An Inko member. 1 ran over. Another one full AUG sprayed. Knocked. Inko Gaming, our top performing squad from the professional division, the pro squads lobby, getting made light work. Straight out on a fall. That's going to be 4 eliminations to their name, it looks like. And for us to win, man, I mean, this is a team that we've seen them perform. Unfortunately, it hasn't been in those moments for land qualification. So, nice sights to see from them, Red Eyes, but I'm wanting to see more, of course, consistency throughout this match.
You know, and when we talk about the panic factor for a lot of these new teams, but I also think it's sort of a double-edged sword in that if you are one of these extremely well-known and accredited teams like, you know, Inko, it could be that false sense of security, just coming in a little overly confident here. And I feel like that's sort of why we see this trend of, you know, tough first days for a lot of pro teams. And then we see them dialing it back, having their brave heart, you know, pep talk in the background, eating their Wheaties and having a locker room pep talk that just changes the momentum. We've seen it from Wolves countless times. Dauntless, X-Force, Inko, time and time again. So many of these names being new faces, you can't take anything for granted. That you've got at that stage.
Yeah, and I mean, slim to none. Unfortunately, 4 sexy frogs now, I believe, getting full wipe out of the lobby. It's going to be Wolves Esports cleaning them up. Must be either a southern rotation from one of the teams or all the way to the western edge. Now we see it. Noobs Esports trying to swim across X-Force. I believe understands he's there. Yep. Oh, and they don't even get the elimination point. Drowns out. X-Force really punching the air. Only 1 elimination. They would have had 2 if they had gotten that player. But nonetheless, now we see it as well in the elimination feed. An Inko member. 1 ran over. Another one full AUG sprayed. Knocked. Inko Gaming, our top performing squad from the professional division, the pro squads lobby, getting made light work. Straight out on a fall. That's going to be 4 eliminations to their name, it looks like. And for us to win, man, I mean, this is a team that we've seen them perform. Unfortunately, it hasn't been in those moments for land qualification. So, nice sights to see from them, Red Eyes, but I'm wanting to see more, of course, consistency throughout this match.
You know, and when we talk about the panic factor for a lot of these new teams, but I also think it's sort of a double-edged sword in that if you are one of these extremely well-known and accredited teams like, you know, Inko, it could be that false sense of security, just coming in a little overly confident here. And I feel like that's sort of why we see this trend of, you know, tough first days for a lot of pro teams. And then we see them dialing it back, having their brave heart, you know, pep talk in the background, eating their Wheaties and having a locker room pep talk that just changes the momentum. We've seen it from Wolves countless times. Dauntless, X-Force, Inko, time and time again.
1 elimination, I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask, if you are Kin, you know, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's gonna happen beneficially here. You know, you have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might not know who we are, but we're going to go ahead and 1v4 CBK right here off the rip. I don't think so. No, he's lost all his resources. It's going to be a complete strategy shift. It's going to be about making it to that end game and just acquiring what placement points you possibly can for the team. And at this point, it's damage reduction.
Yeah, and damage reduction. Unfortunately, I believe it was 4 Sexy Frogs that had the eliminations earlier on from Wolves Esports. Now, feeling the brute force of Noobs Esports, getting 1, maybe even 2 eliminations, was not eyeing it too closely. And seeing now the solo, he's starting to move his way in, but this squad fight, it's still going on the Eastern Edge, and I could have sworn Noobs Esports was going to be winning it out, but it looks like a solo for each team in the water. We're playing ducks.
Yeah, we got
fish in a barrel. I don't even know what to say about this right now.
Some competing Michael Phelps water snakes.
Oh, is he reviving? I think he's going for it.
I think he might be, brother.
Oh, man. This is big, though, but the other teammate, we see that Noobs Esports. Is he getting a heal off there? No! To the water. I'm not sure if that was the play to be done. But...
I mean, risky as it was, 4SF was able to just pull off something that they realistically... I mean, what just happened? And at this point, they're going to have the time to heal up and then just pick winner off at their own pace. This is, well, winter came early, unfortunately for him. This is going to be a short one. And, boy, those heat waves are hitting hard with that.
One elimination, I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask, because if you are Kin, you know, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's going to happen beneficially here. You know, you have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might not know who we are, but we're going to go ahead and 1v4 CBK right here off the rip. I don't think so. No, he's lost all...
Welcome, everyone, to the PUBG Mobile Control Invitational Day number 1. We're talking 2 matches done and dusted. Now, Red Eyes, we're going into the Sanhok, the jungle rumble that you always like to put in. And for the most part, these teams, they're wondering just how well we'll be able to perform, because we're not playing Sanhok just once, but twice today. Now we're getting a little bit of ourselves. I know we talked about it to you guys. Let's bring in that sort of match results from last match, because that Miramar had a lot of exciting moments to it, Red Eyes. I know you had a few things in mind during the break you wanted to talk about. What are you thinking of right now?
Well, you know, I got to say, Dauntless really performing well on the bounce back. After that altercation with Wolves, really seemed to look like the odds were going to be piling against them, kind of sandwiching them up against not just Wolves, but their back end left vulnerable. Well, even when they have a knock on them, keeping a calm, reserved attitude and not making any of those split-second mistakes, well, it ended up turning the tides for them to the point where they are able to not just, you know, come out victorious, but victorious with points to spare. That is a chicken dinner on the tip of your tongue, high protein finish right there.
Well, the tip of your tongue, so to speak, the only teams that I'm really seeing at the tippity top when I'm thinking of those latch master results to now is going to be Wolves Esports getting double-digit points on both. I believe match 1 having 14 under their belt now. Of course, we see here 19, just short of Dauntless, who finished first, which, by the way, they had 10 eliminations under their belt, right? So that making the total of 20 total points. But Sanhok, this is going to be the main deciding factor on how that sort of overall leaderboard is going to end up. I know we didn't have time to show it there after that second match, but don't worry, guys, whether it's here, whether it's on the socials, you will know exactly where day 1 scores end up. But getting underway now, Sanhok, the rumble in the jungle. You know, you and I, Red Eyes, we like looking at Tatmock, we like looking at boot camp. Well,
give me that Ruins finish is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Ruins. Hey, I mean, you like... You must really like watching people suffer. If you're saying Ruins of all places.
Yeah, man. Ruins has been a absolute PMSL like cluster for any production member. You know, we were having those marks set in place before the plane ever took off. Just absolutely ready for anything. But
Noobs Esports, it looks like they're not even going to have to worry about anything unexpected. I'm surprised more teams aren't kind of dropping on each other, because if I recall, Red Eyes, these teams are from essentially 2 or 3 different lobbies coming in, right? The Pro Division and that Community Division.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I mean, a lot of these teams are kind of fresh with one another, not really accustomed to some of the others' play styles. So yeah, you would think, especially from some of these newer names, like, yeah, this is kind of be where you test the waters. But again, we said it in match 1. It still echoes here in match 3 that there's gonna be that reservation, trying to gauge the level of play from your competition before you really set out and try dipping your toes in the water. You know, you got to learn to walk before you learn to run. You don't just step in the ring and think that you box. So they're going to see how some of these more established names, what sort of start they kind of set the tone off for this event with before maybe spreading their wings out a little bit in the second half of the day, or maybe even all the way up to day 2. Neither of those would really surprise me.
You know, Red Eyes, you know what I think of you right now? You're talking about walking before you can run and stuff like that. You're definitely one of those kids where you learn to swim the real slow way. You kind of were in that sort of kiddie pool and stuff
I
like
was
that.
on a professional swim team.
No,
I was a lifeguard for 9 years. I'm a great swimmer.
But you learn in Red Eye. See, I learned by just my parents pushed me in the deep end. You know, you were maybe that more slow and steady. Obviously, these players, they got that same feeling, but I'm learning something new from you every day, Red Eyes, and I'm not loving it.
I gotta say though, I mean, I kept all that brain power from not needing CPR, so I got that going for me. But looky here, we got 9X Esports and almost 2 names that we're fairly new to and kind of learning about here as we go along today. And there is Flicks. Now, I gotta say, this is a name that I have seen time and time again, so I can't really call it a new face altogether. But in terms of, you know, seeing him on this team, this group of players, up against a team I don't know, this is a bit tougher for me to predict, but a great start for them. 9X really kind of hitting the ground running, especially in round 1. Let's see if they can keep some of that momentum here in the jungle.
And it looks like the vehicle play is going to be coming forward right now. One of the X9 players being down all the way to 1 HP, but almost there, realizing that they're already down 1 player in the man advantage realm. So they're choosing to drive off, kind of find their mark just to the east of Boot Camp Mountain. Not really the play you like to see, but going back to how you said it, Red Eyes, X9 Esports, whenever you have these sort of maps, these small areas or POIs, I guess you could say, people make the same rotations, right? You understand where these teams are going to funnel into, and we really just saw X9 Esports be able to capitalize on the likes of almost they're getting a little bit lackluster on their rotation, right? 1 free knock and elimination. You almost rarely see that.
Yeah, and I think it could, you know, kind of boil down to the name you see when you get that knock. You know, if it's not the name of a team that strikes fear into you, you don't know to be afraid of them, then don't be. Especially not on day 1. They haven't made that name for themselves to fear yet. So I honestly got to say, I don't disagree with it. Sort of laying the tone as you being the aggressor, because if you're not going to get someone, you're going to be the one that gets got.
Yeah, and for the most part, getting got is not ever a good feeling, right? I mean, getting caught in the open, getting caught out of vehicles, whatever that sort of scenario is in your head, you never like it to happen, but now we see it as here, almost there. This is the team that had their player get got, now wanting to get their taste back in blood on the 4 sexy frogs, but I don't think they really realize it's 4 frogs here, right? It's just the 1 player making noise while the rest of them are snaking it out in the grass, but now we're seeing the movement going around the compound. 1 player opting to the side, but they don't know about
Diz. That's his teammates that are shooting. This is a real opportunity for Diz to come out with a surprise factor. 2 birds, 1 stone. Just make the most of that hellfire. Ooh! Close, but no cigar. And goodness, it doesn't matter if you get the knock by 1 point or by 100 points. If you don't get that knock, as if it never happened. And boy, straight out of Nepal and straight into your nightmares.
I'm stealing that.
I knew it. I said, I can't use my good dad jokes around Enigma. He's...
Yeah, no. We're stealing that. Nonetheless, I mean, that team that side, right? Just third party after third party in the blue zones and stuff like that. Now, in that one last match, players taking the ego battle on vehicle to vehicle. but player swings at the bottom, immediately gets traded, and now Dauntless, the question mark gets thrown up in the air. Red Eyes, do you stay or do you
gotta go? You dip, cut your losses, sever the ties, because Enigma, all the progress made in the previous match here essentially will be completely undone for the most part. It'll not completely, that's a little harsh, but to have no elims and no placement points to match after, it essentially is going to knock you from that king of the hill position right on down to where you were before. And boy, Sherpa has an opportunity. If he has an opportunity to dip out of dodge, then that's what he needs to do.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there's not a lot of odds of him 1v4ing out of this situation.
And I think the big issue is just that one last-ditch effort, that frag grenade he threw on the ridge, only finishing the player. He didn't get the knock on the member he saw running forward, so now we see Noob Esports congesting themselves down on the compound. Obviously, the HP bars are all really low from the blue zone, but since Dauntless was the players eliminated, you know they have the meds and the utility.
They got the
just
info.
The reset and yeah, and the reset, I mean, it came through Red Eyes. This is the time where it's always just a matter of time until you're eliminated.
And honestly, Sherpa knows it. He's sort of biding his time, waiting for that final stand. And honestly, a DBS sounds the same in every language, okay? A gunshot says knock, regardless of what language you speak. But a gunshot up against four, a shotgun versus four, crazier things have happened.
Oh, we see it now. The nade comes through. A bit of a stun going down. A little bit of a 1v1 set up, but Esports not going to allow him to get the thirst. Only the knock and a little bit of BM as well. I believe at the end they're shooting the crate. 4 eliminations, 1 player down and out. Noobs Esports, you're a team that I was kind of throwing the question marks up, right? Game 1, 1 total point. Game 2, only having, I believe, what is it here? 0 points. So this is a team that desperately needed their turnaround mark. And Red Eyes, you kind of say it best, right? If you need a time to be able to come back from a slump, per se, Sanhok's the map to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no bigger turn of the tides, kind of a change of temperature in the water than shifting from Miramar to Sanhok. The slower play map, the more sniper-intensive open-range map versus jumping right into the thick of it like Oliver's doing here. That's one wolf down. Oh, boy. Oliver is... Oh, hey, listen, straight out in Nepal is living up to that little dad joke pun that I put out there a little earlier. And Oliver said, please, sir, I want one more wolf. And I see Inko off in the distance, finally starting to spread their wings here in round 3, and that is a knock on Wolf of Entity Esports. And we need to see this.
Yeah, I mean, Inko, they had that sort of few eliminations in that last game, right? I made mark of it and then immediately caster cursed them. So now we're going to see if it's 2 for 2. You and I really hold that divine power that is from the PUBG Mobile gods.
Yeah,
on the
Tencent gave us the power to caster curse. And they said, use this, for responsible reasons. I feel like a villain.
Okay,
either way.
Who in what world, though, like Vitaly, we gotta have a talk after this, because this skin, this is worse than the Yeti outfit.
Okay, no, don't you say that. This is not a skin. This is a robot in disguise. Okay, and he has gone full Autobot.
Is he the Terminator?
No, he is not the Terminator. He went in full prime mode. Autobots roll out.
We're rolling out.
Yeah, man.
Hey, I love Transformers as much as the next kid, but these shoulder pads, I mean, you basically got another head on your shoulder. No, this is working against you in the lobby.
Well.
Okay, but maybe Red Eyes, here we go. Wait. Perfect idea here. I need your thoughts on it. We have all of these super large skins, like the Yeti, like the Pro outfit that India's got, and the Transformer fit, and that's your selection for competitive. You don't get this skin tight outfit, you get something that makes you look as big as the vending machines on Miramar, okay? I'm needing to see these people rocking the most egregious skins imaginable.
Hey,
trying to snake in the grass.
there's nothing not scary about a vending machine. Vending machines kill more people every year than sharks, just so you know. All right, we got the Wolves versus Rival
What
6.
the-
This is gonna be big. Rival 6 have Wolves in a real interesting position where essentially Wolves are swimming into a bucket where R6 has that high ground opening on the hilltop to shoot downward, and there's no way for the Wolves to escape out of there other than where Shu Yang is holding.
Yeah.
I believe there
And I'm
actually might
interested.
be
I want to
another
know where the rest of the Wolves is. Wait, no, they're all dead, actually. They're all eliminated.
Oh, yeah.
Out of the lobby. It's just them two, Redis. I didn't even realize they kind of lost all their players on that rotation, but I really wonder kind of how they got there, right? Ending up onto the mouth of the cave, but a team that you and I were really hoping to see in these last two matches, X-Force, did pretty well in this compound. One elimination in the game.
Yeah.
Shots on what is that, news?
And this is kind of what we would expect to see from X-Force after they, you know, think about harking back to PMSL, after they had the hovercraft day, their big momentum, you know, start, then a very tough day following, and then dialing back and finding their health around and playing with a bit more discipline and patience. And I've said it time and time again, X-Force is one of those teams that I would actually put as one of the higher potential pro teams in North America. However, having said that, they are one of the more conditional teams as well, meaning that, you know, when they find their pocket, boy, do they find it, and God help the person who runs into them. And that is a bad day to run into X-Force when they're in their momentum. But you find yourself up against X-Force on a tilt, well, that's easy pickings for some of these teams, like Wolves, Inko, even, you know, given the performance that we've seen from X9, if we see X-Force on a rough start match and they're not able to dial back and get a control of their mental, like we had seen in the earlier stages of PMS, well, you'll see how that just truly affect an outcome.
Yeah. And the outcomes, I mean, that's what matters most. You can always just, you know, preach and cry about whether maybe it was a bit unlucky or another team grieved you, but at the end of it all, it's a matter of where you end up on those overall leaderboards, right? Top 2 is what you're aiming for. Top 5, if you're looking just for some cold hard cash, being from that $3,000 split. But for the most part, these teams, we're not sure who all is going to be invited into that Titan series, right? We don't know who all is already qualified through previous tournaments, through previous prowess or engagements, as well as those partner teams. So if you're any sort of these teams in this lobby, you're wanting to make sure that you're getting as many points as possible. If not, you're going to be allowing these other teams that were willing to put in that effort, willing to put in that sort of drive of competition, and allow them to succeed where maybe you could have done better.
Yeah, and I think I may have just seen Secret Ways. There we have it. Now this is going to be a lot of info for us to learn. Two teams that we are a bit unfamiliarized with, but the nades are out. Hellfire raining down like hailstorms here. We got Ender potentially in a vulnerable position to win here. Nothing connected. I don't really think that that was a aimed nade so much as a throw and play.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Player 2 getting dangerous. Ooh, Hindu. Yeah, that was there was definitely a couple of chances there for him to strike, and a little bit of hesitation can go a long way in the wrong direction.
Well, the blessing for them, right, is going to be for Secret Ways is that once they got those Nox eliminations with no knocks themselves, they're able to completely make the rotation in. But now we see it. You were wondering what happened to Wolves Esports. They were able to make it out of the cave down to the north side, actually, through one of the side tunnels, I believe, onto 4 Sexy Frogs, making it now, I believe, just 1 player. Coups having 2 knocks, maybe even 3 as well. Not sure if he was the one that got that. Yeah, it was him. So Coups, Red Eye, actually getting one before the shot.
The name that rings nightmares. His name rings nightmares down enemies' spines. And look at that. Lux saying, I do not want that altercation, trying his best to get out, but just leaving himself so exposed. And now we've got SW coming in, and Coups is just All right, on to the next one. On to the next one. Who is next?
I think it's going to be fun just north of them. It's going to be a 3-man slam from that team. Unfortunately, giving one knock as well to Coups. Going to pick up a few frag grenades as well. But that's the interesting part about these teams, right? It's a matter of how you're able to really kind of capitalize on these notions. Because you understand that Wolves, every team's looking at elimination feed, remembering which players of that team were not. So you know that Coups is still up, alive, and rampant in this lobby. For you to slam and play so fearlessly, giving them knocks through the windows and stuff like that, it opens up that sort of egoist opportunity, right, for Coups to say, hey, I just squad wiped the team.
Yeah.
I'm more than willing to take my chances with 3 instead of 4 players.
We talk about the confidence bordering onto cockiness factor. But here's the thing. If you are Coups, you're an outlier to that principle. You've proven time and time again, even throughout all the crazy mistakes that we have seen Coups make over the years.
Yeah.
And we have, by far, seen him make some questionable plays. The fact is, the numbers speak for themselves, and it's someone who every player on this battlefield knows and knows to fear. And Lux showed it.
Well, luckily for them, Wolves will be eliminated now. The duo going to be, I believe, naded and then knocked out by the M7s. And now we're taking our sights to the other top North American squad, X-Force, trying to play under the bridge. It's going to be CBK Esports, I believe, in the water. And actually, it's going to be them spotting 2 of them here. So understanding just how dire of a situation it is. But shots raining through, I believe, from everywhere else on the map. Kind of going right around the trees and bushes. Knocked them away. And I'm not sure exactly what happened to X-Force there, but Inko Gaming, they're taking their shots now, full swimming, and 7 eliminations, Red Eyes. Inko Gaming, this might be a great game for him.
I think that at the very least, we can say that it is a much more Inko expected performance. Much more than what we were expecting. Full 4-piece team, 8 elims on the board, fairly evenly distributed. This is a team that is exercising and spreading their wings out in a comfortable position. They are comfortable on their Sanhok altercations, clearly. And I think, I still would say that they're comfortable on all maps, just from what I know of them. But it's that early, day one, just letting low, starting off slow. You don't want to give away all your cards too early on.
Well, the big thing I think that we might not have been able to catch is Inko Gaming getting 1 elimination onto, I believe it was the X9 players that was on top of the bridge, so that was a full squad wipe, as well as CBK Esports shortly after going down. So that full western bridge that they were scoping at, wondering if there's any players left, is completely free for the takings. And now this north side, what is these 2 teams? I believe it's going to be Secret Ways taking the initiative now on to Inko Gaming. Full sort of 2-front fight going down, Red Eyes. Who do you think's taking it?
I think Inko, even in this 2-3 split, has the confidence to not hesitate. We don't know that to say that for SW yet. And Bruno, right there and then, getting a hurt non-pain, but it is all for naught. If you didn't get the job done, it's not done yet. Vitali coming up from the off angle, and somehow, okay, Inko, this is a 3-1 split or a 2-1 split? Nope, 2-1-1.
2-1-1?
This is, Inko never making it as risky as it initially looks.
And they kept going. Look at that.
Yeah, his confidence in full swing. But, oh boy.
Give him 1. That's all it takes. I mean, 1 player down from Inko Gaming. It's going to be the SON Water Snake coming in from the beach. Storm in Normandy, to say the least. Now getting 1 player, and unfortunately, it's like you said, Inko Gaming holding that 2-1-1 split, not clearing the edge of circle, allowing these other teams to weasel in. But they understand SON, there's no way it could be more than just 1 member on the squad remaining. I want to see Inko Gaming, Red Eyes, push the initiative, get the envelope going, because
there's no...
if you wait any longer, you're essentially screwed.
Well, I mean, if you're in Inko, you know the entirety of the opposition. You've got your team. There's no more info to collect.
That's it.
Yeah, it was down, done, dusted, and the lion is the king of the jungle, just like that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an Inko dub in the books here for round 3.
Hey, I mean, I don't know if lions are really in the jungle and stuff like that, Red Eyes, but nonetheless, they made it look like their home, to say the least. And for the spreads and stuff like that they're holding, it really speaks volumes, ends with dividends for them, right, on the eliminations. And I really like the fact that you made note of it. Bruno's in the offing that he had early on that hillside against SW. That's the position that you want to see come through from some of these more established teams, I guess you could say. But nonetheless, all the teams in that lobby, Red Eyes, they were showing a lot of prowess that match.
Yeah, but regardless, I mean, as much of a step forward as this was for a lot of the player base from rounds 1 and 2 to here, there's just unquestionably a huge leap forward for Inko. I believe, let's see, 13 elims, first place finish, something like 23 points from one match alone. Now, to put it into perspective, ladies and gentlemen, there is a very real chance that some of these teams will not be able to acquire even half that amount of points by the end of the day. So this is not just a leap forward, but this is a running start to that leap. And Inko, a team that when they are in full form, again, you don't want them at their best. You don't want them at their best. But here, Enigma, that's all the maps going through in their first run through. And now it's time to circle back and to correct the errors that we made in rounds 1 through 3. See what worked and what didn't work the last time around in ERANGEL, because you got a return flight going right back there. And goodness knows, if you had a bad experience at Hotel ERANGEL the first time around, probably don't want to be checking in for another stay.
See, I feel old because I feel like that's a song reference from one of the Eagles, but nonetheless, you and I can discuss that at break right now, because right now we're going old. Hey, come on. You and I are discussing this afterwards, but don't go anywhere, guys. 3 matches down, 3 more to go. When we come back, the breakdown for match results and that second ERANGEL coming your way.
Be back soon.
One elimination, I can't really picture it working
at stage.
Yeah, and I mean, slim to none. Unfortunately, 4 sexy frogs now, I believe, getting full wiped out of lobby. It's going to be Wolves Esports cleaning them up. Must be either a southern rotation from one of the teams or all the way to the western edge. Now we see it. Noobs Esports trying to swim across X-Force. I believe understands he's there. Yep. Oh, and they don't even get the elimination point. Drowns out. X-Force really punching the air. Only 1 elimination. They would have had 2 if they had gotten that player. But nonetheless, now we see it as well in the elimination feed. An Inko member. One ran over. Another one full AUG sprayed. Knocked. Inko Gaming, our top performing squad from the professional division. The pro squad's lobby getting made light work. Straight out on a fall. That's going to be 4 eliminations to their name, it looks like. And for us to win, man, I mean, this is a team that we've seen them perform. Unfortunately, it hasn't been in those moments for land qualification. So, nice sights to see from them, Red Eyes, but I'm wanting to see more, of course, consistency throughout this match.
You know, and when we talk about the panic factor for a lot of these new teams, but I also think it's sort of a double-edged sword in that if you are one of these extremely well-known and accredited teams like, you know, Inko, it could be that false sense of security, just coming in a little overly confident here. And I feel like that's sort of why we see this trend of, you know, tough first days for a lot of pro teams. And then we see them dialing it back, having their brave heart, you know, pep talk in the background, eating their Wheaties and having a locker room pep talk that just changes the momentum. We've seen it from Wolves countless times. Dauntless, X-Force, Inko, time and time again. So many of these names being new faces, you can't take anything for granted. That you've got
1 elimination. I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask, because if you are Kin, you know, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's gonna happen beneficially here. You know, you have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might not know who we are, but we're gonna go ahead and 1v4 CBK right here off the rip. I don't think so. No, he's lost all his resources. It's going to be a complete strategy shift. It's going to be about making it to that end game and just acquiring what placement points you possibly can for the team. And at this point, it's damage reduction.
and damage reduction. Unfortunately, I believe it was 4 Sexy Frogs that had the eliminations earlier on from Wolves Esports. Now, feeling the brute force of Noobs Esports, getting 1, maybe even 2 eliminations, was not eyeing it too closely. And seeing it now, the solo, he's starting to move his way in, but this squad fight, it's still going on the Eastern Edge. And I could have sworn Noobs Esports was going to be winning it out, but it looks like a solo for each team in the water. We're playing ducks.
Yeah, we got
fish in a barrel. I don't even know what to say about this right now.
Some competing Michael Phelps water snakes.
Oh, is he reviving? I think he's going for it.
I think he might be, brother.
Oh, man. This is big, though, but the other teammate, we see that Noobs Esports. Is he getting a heal off there? No! Through the water. I'm not sure if that was the play to be done. But...
I mean, risky as it was, 4SF was able to just pull off something that they realistically... I mean, what just happened? And at this point, they're going to have the time to heal up and then just pick winner off at their own pace. This is, well, winter came early, unfortunately for him. This is going to be a short one. And, boy, those heat waves are hitting hard with that.
One elimination, I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask, because if you are Kin, you know, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's going to happen beneficially here. You know, you have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might not know who we are, but we're going to go ahead and 1v4 CBK right here off the rip. I don't think so. No, he's lost all his resources. It's going to be a complete strategy shift. It's going to be about making it to that end game and just acquiring what placement points you possibly can for the team. And at this point, it's damage reduction.
Yeah, and damage reduction. Unfortunately, I believe it was 4 Sexy Frogs that had the eliminations earlier on from Wolves Esports. Now, feeling the brute force of Noobs Esports, getting 1, maybe even 2 eliminations, was not eyeing it too closely. And seeing it now, the solo, he's starting to move his way in, but this squad fight, it's still going on the Eastern Edge. And I could have sworn Noobs Esports was going to be winning it out, but it looks like a solo for each team in the water. We're playing ducks.
Yeah, we got
fish in a barrel. I don't even know what to say about this right now.
We got some competing Michael Phelps water snakes.
Oh, is he reviving? I think he's going for it.
I think he might be, brother.
Oh, man. This is big, though, but the other teammate, we see that Noobs Esports. Is he getting a heal off there? No! Through the water. I'm not sure if that was the play to be done. But...
I mean, risky as it was, 4SF was able to just pull off something that they realistically... I mean, what just happened? And at this point, they're going to have the time to heal up and then just pick winner off at their own pace. This is, well, winter came early, unfortunately for him. This is going to be a short one. And, boy, those heat waves are hitting hard with that stage.
Yeah, and I mean, slim to none. Unfortunately, 4 Sexy Frogs now, I believe, getting full wiped out of the lobby. It's going to be Wolves Esports cleaning them up. Must be either a southern rotation from one of the teams or all the way to the western edge. Now we see it. Noobs Esports trying to swim across X-Force. I believe understands he's there. Yep. Oh, and they don't even get the elimination point. Drowns out. X-Force really punch in the air. Only 1 elimination. They would have had 2 if they had gotten that player. But nonetheless, now we see it as well in the elimination feed. An Inko member. One ran over. Another one full AUG sprayed. Knocked. Inko Gaming, our top performing squad from the professional division, the pro squads lobby, getting made light work. Straight out on the ball. That's going to be 4 eliminations for their name, it looks like. And for us to win, man, I mean, this is a team that we've seen them perform. Unfortunately, it hasn't been in those moments for land qualification. So, nice sights to see from them, Red Eyes, but I'm wanting to see more, of course, consistency throughout this match.
You know, and when we talk about the panic factor for a lot of these new teams, but I also think it's sort of a double-edged sword in that if you are one of these extremely well-known and accredited teams like, you know, Inko, it could be that false sense of security, just coming in a little overly confident here. And I feel like that's sort of why we see this trend of, you know, tough first days for a lot of pro teams. And then we see them dialing it back, having their brave heart, you know, pep talk in the background, eating their Wheaties and having a locker room pep talk that just changes the momentum. We've seen it from Wolves countless times.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the PMCI Day number 1, Season 4 Grand Finals. We're talking $3,000 as well as 2 Titan Series Premier Division slots up for grabs over the next 3 days. I'm Enigma, alongside me, Red Eyes. And Red Eyes, man, we just reached that halfway point in the matches. ERANGEL, Miramar, Sanhok, all 3 being played, and now going right back to the beginning, going into ERANGEL. But that Sanhok match, that was your and I's, I think, favorite match so far on the night. Let's bring in that sort of match result standing, because I know you and I, we had a lot of stuff we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, we sure did, buddy. And look at the tone that Inko set in round 3, more than doubling the points of SON. That is insane work for one match. And to put it into context, it's going to be unquestionably more than probably double the amount of points that some of these teams are going to be able to put up the entire day. This is the kind of performance that you generally only see as an outlier performance, or when pro teams compete against lower tiers. Those just heavy, just berserker strats. And that means no hands on your shields, just all on the weapons, on the all-out aggressive, on offense. And boy, teams like Inko and Wolves, that's where they thrive.
Yeah, but the surprising thing is obviously Wolves here being on that right side of the leaderboard, only having 4 points total to their name. Inko Gaming, of course, being the team with a lot of those elims, but the other squads, I'm looking at Rival 6, Secret Ways, as well as CBK and X9, all putting up pretty decent numbers as a lobby, as these sort of new upcoming squads. I know I referenced CBK being that sort of zombie boys squad from back in the day, now rebranding the CBK Esports. Love to see them picking up an organization. But for these teams, right, Red Eyes, it can't be more than just the Sanhok, right?
Exactly,
Gotta continue that forward.
And here's the thing. One good thing about like taking a little bit of time between these overall standings, Rival 6 is consistent as well. You have to harken back, to the match before. Rival 6 putting up a bit of consistency now and really starting to find their footing. So 8 points in round 3, nothing to wag your finger against, but adding it on to just more and more. And hey, as we return now to ERANGEL for round 4, we're going to see, are they going to be able to improve upon their round 1? Well, let's go ahead and find out.
Yeah, and ERANGEL, that's where the magic happens, right? This is what everyone knows and loves. It's all about who's able to kind of really perform when it comes to being able to show out and show off in these matches. And for it being ERANGEL, I know a lot of these people are going to be stressing, to say the least, if it's another Millie zone. I'm wanting to see it for the most part, right, all the way down south. Make these teams make that rotation play, and for the most part, with Teeter now, guys, playing path all the way on that western side, just around south of George Pole, going all the way down to military base. So these teams, I like Yasnaya, Prison, Lipovka, whatever the case may be on that right side, you're going to be taking a bit of time to get there, to say the least, Red Eyes. But if you're an X-Force fan, if you're one of these other teams that has those secondary drops, you don't mind any of these playing paths, right?
Well, talking about X-Force, let's just go right into it, man. I mean, it looks like X-Force might be throwing themselves right into a potential altercation off the rip. It looks like it's maybe not the case. Valak finding himself in fairly close proximity to members of Full Sense, but with enough space to probably have landed under the radar, not have been spotted, and get some early game loot and reunite with his team, hopefully. But goodness knows, we were talking last match about X-Force being one of these high potential but high conditional teams. And Valak is no exception to that rule. I love the guy a ton. He's a great staple point for the NA community. He's been involved in the scene for a long time, and we can all attest to what sort of performance can come from X-Force and what sort of performance can come from Valak when things are going well. But let's say Valak is eliminated early on here, that could spell a change in the tides, because we have seen X-Force find themselves a bit vulnerable on the mental game at times.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, we saw that map pulled up just a little bit there. It's going to be the zone focus on them. It's going to be around that sort of quarry angle, this sort of center spot just south of Gatka, allowing a lot of this open terrain to be up for grabs for teams. Wolves Esports as well, they've been a team that's been dealing with, unfortunately, squads dropping right next to them on the split loot. And I throw up the question mark, Red Eyes, because some teams, obviously Wolves, we know what they like to do when it comes to games and stuff like that. We know the splits. Why are we having a team drop for scraps? I understand fighting for opportunities, but these compounds here, they can't be worthwhile, man.
Well, I don't think you'll see it being the go-to strategy. Definitely not on day 3. You know, I think this is the kind of style that, as you know, I mean, we see it time and time again. It's a day 1 style play. Just really hesitant, and it almost seems like you've got so much ahead of you that one game might not be your undoing. So why throw yourselves, you know, downhill so early on in an event? And you know, you're bringing up a great point, Enigma, but I think it comes with a lot of your experience. You know, that you really have to capitalize in these moments. But it is so easy to have that split second of hesitation that can completely 180 an outcome. And so if you are 4S, you know, you're already 1 second down. You know, the snow doesn't last long in the water, and Coups is just the big bad wolf. And I think, you know, if you are 4 Sexy Frogs, you are going to be panicking. It'd be hard not to.
Well, and unfortunately for them, memory serves me right, their results have not been too strong into these matches in terms of just their game to game. Yeah, we see their name a lot, but I don't think it's really been in that good of a way.
Not at
Sexy
all.
Frogs.
0.
I think it's
0.
what? 3, 4, maybe. I don't even think they've reached 5.
I think it's 0
eliminations on the day. It's
0.
It's lackluster.
0. Big ol' onion.
0.
Big ol' settle. Onion. Big ol' O. All right.
Hey. Okay, but nonetheless, almost there. Another team that's been struggling now, taking their fight to Team Entity. It's going to be that far western side of zone, kind of ISO'd out into this 4v4. Issue, like kind of like the Miramar match. Yeah, the wind. And now it's all there, feeling the frame of the ridges.
But that's just inexperience, isn't it, Enigma? I mean, just to not have that back end covered, or at least one man trying to survey that scene, keeping your head on a peripheral. Yeah. I don't feel like we would have seen that happen to Dauntless or to Wolves. At least not in stage 1. And that's okay. That's okay. This is still day 1. These are your chances to really recognize those split second areas. Almost. There's still time to completely change the time. But when there's a caster curse coming in like that, it's going to be a bit of a tougher, it's an uphill battle both ways.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Team Entity, I guess not really an unfortunate part because they have 3 players remaining still, but they've got 4 eliminations on one of those members, so a full squad wipe onto almost there. A player that maybe we can highlight later on throughout the match, see if he can accumulate any more, which you're wondering earlier, Red Eyes, what was going to happen with 4 Sexy Frogs? Well, now we're down to just that one
frog, but this was the frog that was a solo last match too, I believe.
But
yeah, 0 points.
But
0 points.
I don't want to be that guy, of course, but obviously, you know, he's against Wolves. When are we going to expect them to really go for maybe this solo play? You know, I'm not, see, they're not even going to bother.
I don't blame them. Hey, listen,
the loot,
you're not going to see Red Eyes being braver than Lux is being right now if I was up against the Wolves. So
Red Eye, I mean, I'm hearing then is you're a pro. You're a professional. You and I are pros. Yeah. We're gonna chalk it as that.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like the sound of that. Well, here we got Full Sense up against Entity. Now, Entity, this is kind of surprising to see them just turn tail and retreat. Because they are kind of in a flow state, it almost seems. They do have 4 elims to their name, but then you look at it. Look at the dispersion. Wolf responsible for all 4 of the team's elims. I believe you mentioned it just a few minutes ago. So yeah, one player in his element is not going to necessarily bring the full team into the right focus per se. So I don't disagree with this retreat too much, but that's only because of the context. If I were looking at that fight as an objective situation, only that fight, no context allowed, that wouldn't have been exactly the right one to bow out from. And that's with, spectators' 2020 vision.
Yeah, and unfortunately, for the most part, it's just going to be a matter of time for some of these teams to get eliminated, right? We understand the level of play that we've already seen. We're wanting to see the improvement out of them, but you also got to understand that everyone else at the top is also going to be understanding and adapting their play style. So nonetheless, these teams, they're going to have to start really kind of perfecting the craft, especially today, going into these matches, because like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, Red Eyes, after day 1, yeah, you're looking at that match goal. Okay, we've only played 6 out of 18, and then day 2 comes around, maybe after that first Sanhok, after that game 3, and you look back and say, wow, we have no total points going into these sort of halfway points of the grand finals of this tournament. So nonetheless, these teams, I'm looking at Noobs Esports, maybe even Punjab, and some of these other squads that we haven't really seen too much out of. Full Sense as well, kind of just lumping them into the mix of needing to see points.
Yeah,
board, right? And Team Entities, I think the one that I was kind of leading this whole random point to, of those 4 eliminations, them not choosing to go for that.
Yeah.
I want to see them make a top 3 here this game.
And I think we have a very real chance of seeing that improvement between today and tomorrow, or between today and day 3 for sure. I think that it's almost undeniable that there was an opportunity wasted. But at the same time, an opportunity wasted, but they still have 3 members up to carry on forward. So maybe they're just kind of risking, weighing the risk of the reward here. But regardless, now they find themselves out of the frying pan into the fire, and now dealing with CBK swarming in.
And CBK, I don't think they understand the squad speed, but nonetheless, they're willing to take the fight, whether it's 3, 4 players. And now, yeah, we're seeing a Team Entity getting out of dodge. They're saying that, hey, we have our 4 points. Let's take a little bit of a mental reset. And it actually looks like one of their players was already over.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, they're going to be taking their shots right next to, I believe, what is that going to be? Inko Gaming, one of the squads that definitely needed points. Actually, excuse me, it's going to be Noobs Esports. Oh, man, I'm needing to check the eyesight. But nonetheless, these teams all really getting closer together. And with it being so...
Now, the reason for the inhale, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, if you weren't tuning into PMPL, well, there was a certain performance by a certain team called X-Force that involved a certain number of hovercrafts just bullying an in-game zone. So, in what was honestly one of the most entertaining matches of PUBG Mobile Esports I had ever seen. So, I just can't help but get that excitement when I see them in a hovercraft and potentially gonna pull one of these absolutely maniacal, insane plays. And if you haven't seen it in PMSL, they essentially divide up their resources and get multiple hovercrafts and just go out hunting, out fishing on open land, and slowly running people over like, bowling pins with the bumpers up. Just like when you bring a 3-year-old to a bowling alley and they just toss it down the lane, super slow, but boy, it just strikes.
Hey, listen, but they only have 1 right now. They don't have 4 or 3 hovercrafts.
Not
they
there
only
yet.
got the 1, and they're kind of going on the corner. Maybe they're looking for another one, but nonetheless, I mean, we know obviously that just the presence that 1 hovercraft can have in that mid to late game. Early game, it's not too crazy unless it's that sort of water rotation you make down south or north from your POI drop spot. But X-Force, man, this time we haven't seen too crazy much signs of life after that first winner chicken dinner, right? They got on the first ERANGEL, but now nonetheless, maybe they want to repeat that. Maybe ERANGEL is going to be their strong suit.
We talk about
the
it.
year.
They had such a phenomenal performance followed by a catastrophic one. And we're talking about a team that is always finding themselves vulnerable to letting their mental get the best of them. And after such a phenomenal performance, having it kind of 180, it certainly does seem to affect the force's mental, at least in terms of day one.
On day one, another team that's kind of really just been struggling is going to be good job. That's going to squad. Noting that though, because oh my goodness, Secret Waves full brawling with Dauntless. One player knocked, 2 down, and an elimination. It's going to be just a solo in the buggy, and you always talk
Secret
about
Waves making waves, baby, making waves.
He wasn't even able to support his team, but nonetheless, he's still pulling up, looking for
This
the
is
fight.
the-
I believe that's
this
gonna
could
be
be
two
it.
players.
Talking about supporting his
That's
team, he
looking
could
good.
just undo 3 of those members with one nade if he
Oh,
had...
that was his teammate.
Yeah, but I mean that's still worth it. Even if he, I mean, if anything, it's worth going for. He's got 1 down. Oh,
Another
2
prime
down.
does
Push
get
it.
Another knock.
Horrible.
He's got the backpack. I don't think he's got any smoke
Oh
grenades. I
my
think it's all
gosh.
frag grenades.
I know he is surprised that. I mean, that is 3 on the money nades. Martha Stewart herself could not have cooked him better. But then,
the first though, it was 2 players up now for Secret Waves, so they're having to deal with the 1, but a third-party shot, another player gets almost knocked with another third skill with Dauntless Way, so 2v1 scenario.
inbound. Look who's inbound.
Oh no! Don't. Oh wait! No way! What did we do? Oh no!
Did he really just nade himself?
The vehicle doubled him. No, the vehicle got both of them. Red Eyes and Dauntless. He blew both of them up.
Clipped.
Threw the
Clipped.
smoke there. No.
Clipped.
Hey, 1v4. I'll give
Now,
it to him.
Horrible.
It don't matter if it's the vehicle.
Yeah, but
the
think
nades
about
or
it.
your gun.
Everything is contextual, Enigma. All those noise and bullets were just honing beams in the sky, and like blood in the water, the sharks of Inko smell it, and they are just swarming in for what they already assume is probably a weakened third-party attack, you know, on a weakened Dauntless, and they would not be wrong.
Yeah, and I gotta talk about this experience factor, okay? And I wouldn't really put this to experience. It's more like you never had PTSD moments before. You're pushing someone, okay? You're pushing someone, and you see the vehicle on fire in front of you, and you're thinking maybe, hey, it's already exploded. They ran right up to it, Red Eyes, and it just immediately blows up, knocks both of them. You know that team is going to be remembering.
Yeah, you can always
Every
remember
time
the
now
look
when they
of someone
push.
who's been punched in the face before. You always know it.
Listen, chat, if you don't know if the vehicle's blown up, you know, especially if it's on fire, you already know it's low on the HP department. You cannot be allowing Dauntless to get away with that. But nonetheless, they get those 4 elims, Red Eyes, and now we see it here on the overhead. X4 is taking the initiative. I believe that's going to be against Rival 6 on the mountaintop. But with it being so far from zone, Red Eyes, do you think is the worthwhile?
No, absolutely. Even if Sadra has a clear shot, a clear line on him, he better not shoot because they don't seem to know his location yet. Caster cursing is probably in effect, but yeah. And you got Red Eyes, bud.
I think they got him. Yep. There it is. The shots, they connect.
Didn't believe in it before. I bet you do now. Caster curse.
Red Eyes, are you a wizard now?
No, I'm not the wizard. Let me show
Maybe
you
you're
the
a
wizard here.
witch.
We got
Maybe you're
the.
a witch. I don't know. Not the feminine, more like an evil wizard kind of way, you know, with these predictions. 'Cause you've been kind of an ass to
I
some
wish
of
I
these
didn't
teams with these
cackle with that
predictions.
laugh. I wish I didn't cackle with that laugh when you said that, but.
Nonetheless, though, these teams, a lot of engagement. All these actually on the edge of the circle. Not rare sight to see, but it's usually those teams that pull the early on. Pickings we see here and there.
Yeah.
Now these teams, and now we see it as well, right? Red Eyes, Inko Gaming, these other squads trying to really kind of just push the envelope a little bit more in these other teams. But I'm still looking at it, that same team on that hillside off in the distance, Punjab. I'm needing to see the signs of life out of you. I need to see the sort of engagement come through, not just the knocks from far, because I don't even think it's Punjab getting this damage done. It's all Inko Gaming here.
It's not, and it's just opportunity kind of wasted here. But as you can see, especially if Inko, gets any sort of third-party attention, boy, SEP could have a real opportunity for some free point gain. And I haven't seen them really capitalize on any of this, but here we go. Here we go. Hindu and Man in for a push, in for a penny, in for a pound, so they say. And here we're going to see, can they pull this off before Inko tries to, I don't know, thirst or third party?
I think if you're Inko, you're just waiting for the people to start moving on the outside of the building.
What's the rush if you're Inko?
Pull-up looks a little bit scuffed, almost getting knocked, spinning out on the open roadside, but nonetheless, no shots connecting from both these teams in the compound. And now we see it, the 2-2 split. Inko Gaming trying to pressure up top of the mountain, and with them seeing that vehicle rotate down, Red Eyes, I could see Inko Gaming potentially fight for that compound up on the top right of the screen there. They might completely ignore the compound, but see one knocked in now. On job, no support yet from the squad mates. The smoke's really well placed. Team in the compound. Wonder Red Eyes. And they make the magic happen again. They've got one down, but you gotta find more than that. You gotta be maybe 8 humans right here.
I mean, X9 in round 2 certainly seemed to hold their own under pressure, but that was a different geography, different strats. And boy, we see them just buckling under the pressure of Inko, buckling under the pressure of SEP, or probably X9 Esports. We're seeing a lot of split-second hesitations and just how severely they can turn the tides.
Yeah, and the tides, I mean, unfortunately, Punjab, you guys have had this position for the last 3 or 4 circle shifts. The last sort of match results we've shown on the stream. Yeah, I think that's the best way of putting it.
Yep.
Still water. No
I'm getting
signs
really
of
good
life
at these puns, man. Really good.
I'm writing these down afterwards, right? You best believe I'm stealing each and every one of them. But for the most part, now we see it, unfortunately, X9 Esports getting a little bit too over-eager. The main knocks, maybe it was the shots from Inko in the back, getting some pressure down underway, and now we still haven't even gotten reset down, but the ridgeline reigns supreme. Inko Gaming as well. You were wondering, Red Eyes, when they were going to push. Now they are, and Inko Gaming, they're looking for the clean.
Easy scraps for them, but they're going to have to be careful because all this noise is putting all the attention out in the air, and we see Wolves in the back area potentially, you know, preparing for a third-party push, and we know that that is a very comfortable strat.
Yeah.
They are just unmatched in terms of squaring off some easy elims, unless you might bring in, like, Alpha 7 PMSL. Yeah. Easy, you know, knowing when to get the easy ones. But I'm hearing a lot of shots. Let's see. Who could it be? Who could it be?
I think it's Wolves. Down on the edge there, as well as Inko. Now they've got CBK Esports taking the action. And, oh, man, this is a big fight right here. X-Force against the top dogs, essentially, in the lobby, at least from what I'd recall. Wolves Esports 4v3. And Wancho, man, I mean, I was feeling that position. Unfortunately, the nade landed right on his skull. Overwatch shots now coming through. I believe X-Force down to a duel, making a solo now. They've got a few elims under their belt, but it's going to be all for naught, Red Eyes. Wolves Esports, they lost the first knock, right? But now they have themselves in the driver's seat. We got to push out here, and we got to clear them.
But does that revive that X-Force got off? Does that not shot? No? Okay.
No, that's...
Again,
I mean, they're gone anyways, you know.
Just X-Force, under pressure, but boy, to get that revive when I felt that they had that before it, I was surprised, kind of giving that false sense of hope to X-Force and then just taking it away.
The bigger they are, Red Eyes,
the harder they fall.
Okay, and you gotta put some people, you gotta give them hope to see the light leave their eyes, you know. And I'm not saying these people are sadistic or something in any way, but you get a certain feeling when you allow these teams to get away and still eliminate them. So now we see it, Inko Gaming, they're trying to make their mark. Coming in from the north side, they wiped both of their squads. Their sight towards the CBK solo that rotated in front of them, and the shots do come through, but not going to find an immediate shot just yet. Gonna be on the teammate, gonna be just a solo now on the buggy, and I wonder, I mean, look at this zone shift. It's a ticking time bomb, man. Yeah, where do you even go?
I mean, with so little compound cover, your only option, geographical high ground out of the line of sight, but that's not gonna really be something that is afforded to GMC. He's already got the attention on him. He's already going to get bullied and picked apart.
Oh.
And if it wasn't going to be Wolves, it was going to be Inko. One way or the other, he was going down.
And we see it as well. We haven't seen too many of the engagements from Wolves, so they've got 8 under their belt. A little bit of a 3-1 split. One of their members going up north here. I'm interested in seeing if he'll maybe even spot this Punjab player from that compound fight earlier on with Inko Gaming, or will he maybe get caught out? But the beauty of it is Wolves, they always play so close together. They always play so well coordinated and understand it. But oh my goodness, he didn't see him. The edge of the screen, he actually made the mad dash right in front of the Wolves player as he was looking around. And we got to remember, guys, obviously we've got that 10 out of 10 hindsight vision, that X-ray to make it easier for them. They don't get that luxury. They got to deal with spotting these players like everyone else. No iPad view, just that FPC, that TPP, whatever POV they're in. Got to deal with it their own way. And Red Eyes, I mean, I would love to see, you know, maybe iPads return and stuff like that to competitive. But these teams right now, they've got to deal with that screen size. They've got to deal with their fingers maybe in front of them. And the stress as well that you've been kind of building up for Grand Finals. It plays a part.
It not more than just a part. It plays a pivotal, crucial role in... It'll be what raises you up or tears you down. I mean, it'll either make you the king of the hill or just bury you under that hill. And it can be for that, especially if you are one of those teams like X-Force who can find yourself on a tilt. But, you know, as we've seen, Inko also served the counterpoint. We've seen Inko definitely off to a rough start today, and then look what they turned that into. I mean, not, again, you expect it from a pro-level team with as much of a reputation as some of these teams have made. But Inko is, you know, not letting it unfold, just keeping their eyes on the prize, keeping the...
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit worried, though, here. We've got him trying to make a play on the Wolves esports, potentially. Unfortunately, it's going to be esports all the way down there in the distance, potentially getting that render angle onto him, and both squads realizing kind of the predicament they're in. Wolves rotating back towards the compound they've cleared out earlier on in the match, while Inko, they're the team Red Eyes. They either got to choose to play this top side of the hill, maybe even on the face towards Wolves, or will they rotate down south into it? And unfortunately, Grell, him getting knocked allows esports to take the initiative, and now Inko, they gotta make the full set play. They're going one by one.
No matter what. That was destined to be a bad move for Inko regardless, because Wolves had perfect positioning to third party on that, and they just bought their time with patience, man. And now they have a weakened team of NE to just swarm upon.
Yep.
And look, not a split second wasted. And this is what we keep saying about the Wolves. They don't have those split seconds of hesitations to make those mistakes, at least not on the grounds like we've seen from some of these lower tier teams. This is their comfort zone. And in-game, in their favor, they are just spreading out and getting ready to bully.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Noobs Esports, they're the ones on the back foot. They do not have that luxury of a compound that gives you the face of the hillside to control. Wolves Esports holding what looks like to be a 3-1 split, or a 2-2, 2 on the hillside, 1 in the back. Make it 3-1, excuse me, but it's still a 4v4. If they could maybe isolate this player all the way on that western side, it looks like they maybe even have spotted him. If they could just find that weak point, Red Eyes, they could full send into it, but the problem is figuring out where these solos are at, right?
Or if it is a solo situation. It could be prone in the grass, but you are 100% right. Wix is going to be the make or break factor of this in-game. That outlier could be the one to take the attention from the other three, and that could be huge, or he could be their last coin in the back pocket if these three do fall. But regardless, it does leave the counter option for Noobs. If they're able to pick Wix off, then stumble across Coups. That's just 2 singles. I mean, I think
a big thing was, I would have liked to see Noob Esports honestly move before the circle pop, because now Wolves Esports may be predicting it, but actually, full sending it. And one knock but they do get the trade, and they get 2 now. That's a big trade from Coups. Wolves got to push the initiative here, Red Eyes, and with it being a 3v2, the nades, the smokes, they're coming into play now. They're looking for these thirsts.
Yeah, man, and I'm just talking about it time and time again. We say it so often. This is huffing and puffing. This is their flow state. This is their full momentum, full confidence. And, I mean, yeah, we've seen it pan against them at certain times. I feel like they've held this in-game for the last 2 zones. They've controlled this in-game. They haven't pushed anything too early. Not. But this
wow.
caster curse of all times, Red Eyes just struck the wolves down here. And we got 3 little piggies here. Yes, 4 little piggies coming in with eyes on Baton and Juancho. And what I just completely 180 here for these participants. I said, whoa, in the bag. And now Baton goes down. Juancho says, Red Eyes, why'd you open that big mouth of yours?
Yeah, but unfortunately for them, it's still just Juancho remaining. The Molly's right in front of them, both just missing the mark. But the Wolves esports fan, you were honestly having a bit of hope in the end of the tunnel, having 2 players knocked before making this a 1. Juancho, yeah, sticky. You gotta push the initiative. Coming through, he's not even gonna find it. Noobs esports, from what I thought wasn't gonna be theirs to take, Red Eyes. Winner, chicken dinner for the second Erangel on the night. And that's a team where, yeah, we've maybe seen a few eliminations under their belt, but for them to get a win against Wolves esports,
yeah,
that's not what we were expecting.
Well, I mean, not only was it not what we were expecting, I mean, I don't know when they acquired those 8 elims.
Yeah.
I mean, but I definitely know that when we were talking about them in the first half of the match, it was looking a lot closer to 0. And I was getting ready to throw in, oh, well, living up to the name, you know, if you're going to name yourself Noobs, you got to face the consequence. And boy, do I cast a curse myself, Enigma, because they just kept their eye on the prize. And, I mean, even before the final altercation, they already had 8 elims in the bag. It's a strong performance any way you look at it. We might not have seen every elim, and maybe it has been third-party pickoffs. That's okay. That doesn't affect me one bit. That is, if you're able to do it and do it successfully, good on you. Do what works to your strengths, play to it. But we are seeing the Noobs kind of proving themselves to be a bit of the opposite here in round 3. But what's going to happen, round 4. But what's going to happen now, Enigma, as we circle back to where, you know, it kind of all went wrong for them?
I mean, what all went wrong for them, I feel like it was really honestly just any 3 of those first games, right? But now with it being the repeat, now it being that reset, the rust is off the chains, man, I gotta make mention of it. Noobs esports, the oxymoron, I love it to say the least. But for the most part, Red Eyes, obviously, we've got 2 more matches here tonight. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're gonna go into that highlight package for you. But when we come back, the breakdown from that Erangel coming your way. Yeah, and I mean, slim to none, unfortunately. 4 sexy for the game and these other squads trying to really kind of just push the envelope a little bit more in these other teams. But I'm still looking at it, that same team on that hillside off in one elimination. I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask, because if you are Ken, you know, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's going to happen beneficially here. You know, you have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might not know who we are, but we're going to go ahead and 1v4 CBK right here off the rip. I don't think so. No, he's lost all his resources. It's going to be a complete strategy shift. It's going to be about making it to that in-game and just acquiring what placement points you possibly can for the team. And at this point, it's damage reduction.
Yeah, and damage reduction. Unfortunately, I believe it was 4 sexy frogs that had the eliminations earlier on from Wolves Esports. Now, feeling the brute force of Noobs Esports, getting 1, maybe even 2 eliminations, was not eyeing it too closely. And seeing it now, the solo, he's starting to move his way in, but this squad fight, it's still going on the Eastern Edge. And I could have sworn Noobs Esports was going to be winning it out, but it looks like a solo for each team in the water. We're playing ducks.
Yeah,
You're
we got
fish in a barrel. I don't even know what to say
we
about
got
this right
like
now.
some competing Michael Phelps water snakes.
Oh, is he reviving? I think he's going for it.
I think he might be, brother.
Oh man, this is big though. But the other teammate, we see
Oh!
that New Z Sports. Is he getting a heal off there? No, through the water. I'm not sure if that was the play to be done. But
I mean, risky as it was, 4SF was able to just pull off something that they realistically. I mean, what just happened? And at this point, they're going to have the time to heal up and then just pick winner off at their own pace. This is, well, winter came early, unfortunately for him. This is going to be a short one. And, boy, those heat waves are hitting hard with that.
These other squads trying to really kind of just push the envelope a little bit more in these other teams, which I'm still looking at that same team on that hillside off in the distance, Punjab. I'm needing to see the signs of life out of you. I need to see the sort of engagement come down, not just the knocks from far, because I don't even think it's Punjab getting this damage done. It's all Inko Gaming here.
It's not, and it's just opportunity kind of wasted here. But as you can see, especially if Inko gets any sort of third-party attention, boy, SEP could have a real opportunity for some free point gain. And I haven't seen them really capitalize on any of this, but here we go. Here we go. Hindu and Man in for a push, in for a penny, in for a pound, so they say. And here we're going to see, can they pull this off before Inko tries to, I don't know, thirst or third party?
I think if you're Inko, you're just waiting for the people to start moving on the outside of the building.
What's the rush if you're Inko?
Pull-up looks a little bit scuffed, almost getting knocked, spinning out on the open roadside, but nonetheless, no shots connecting from both these teams in the compound. And now we see it, the 2-2 split. Inko Gaming trying to pressure up top of the mountain, and with them seeing that vehicle rotate down, Red Eyes, I could see Inko Gaming potentially fight for that compound up on the top right of the screen there. They might completely ignore the compound, but see one knocked in now on Punjab. No support yet from the squad mates. The smoke's really well placed. Team in the compound. Wonder Red Eyes. And they make the magic happen again. They've got one down, but you gotta find more than that. You gotta be maybe 8 humans right here.
I mean, X9 in round 2 certainly seemed to hold their own under pressure, but that was a different geography, different strats. And boy, we see them just buckling under the pressure of Inko, buckling under the
taking the ego battle on vehicle to vehicle. They're swinging to the bottom, immediately gets traded, and now Dauntless. Question mark gets thrown up in the air, Red Eyes. Do you stay or do you
gotta go. You dip. Cut your losses. Sever the ties, because Enigma, all the progress made in the previous match here, essentially will be completely undone for the most part. It'll not completely. That's a little harsh, but to have no elims and no placement points to match after, it essentially is going to knock you from that king of the hill position right on down to where you were before. And boy, Sherpa has an opportunity. If he has an opportunity to dip out of dodge, then that's what he needs to do.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there's not a lot of odds of him 1v4ing out of this situation.
And I think the big issue is just that one last-ditch effort, that frag grenade he threw on the ridge, only finishing the player. He didn't get the knock on the member he saw running forward, so now we see Newbie Esports congesting themselves down on the compound. Obviously, the HP bars are all really low from the blue zone, but since Dauntless was the players eliminated, they have the meds and the utility.
They got the
just
info.
The reset and the reset, I mean, it came through Red Eyes. This is the time where it's always just a matter of time until you're eliminated.
And honestly, Sherpa knows it. He's sort of biding his time, waiting for that final stand. And honestly, a DBS sounds the same in every language, okay? A gunshot says knock, regardless of what language you speak. But a gunshot up against four, a shotgun versus 4, crazier things have happened.
But we see it now. The nade comes through. A bit of a stun going down. A little bit of a 1v1 set up, but
wicks off. Then stumble across Coups. That's just 2 singles. I mean,
I think a big thing was I would have liked to see Newbie Esports honestly move before the circle pop, because now Wolves Esports may be predicting it, but actually sending it. And one knock, but they do get the trade, and they get two now. That's a big trade from Coups. Wolves got to push the initiative here, Red Eyes. With it being a 3v2, the nades, the smokes, they're coming into play now. They're looking for these thirsts.
Yeah, man, and I'm just talking about it time and time again. We say it so often. This is puffin' and puffin'. This is their flow state. This is their full momentum, full confidence. And, I mean, yeah, we've seen it pan against them at certain times. I feel like they've held this in-game for the last two zones. They've controlled this in-game. They haven't pushed anything too early. Not this caster curse of all times, Red Eyes just struck the wolves down here. And we got three little piggies here. Yes, four little piggies coming in with eyes on Baton and Juancho. And what I just completely 180 here for these participants. I said, oh, it's in the bag. And now Baton goes down. Juancho says, Red Eyes, why'd you open that big mouth of yours?
Yeah, but unfortunately for them, it's still just Juancho remaining. The Molly's right in front of them, both just missing the mark. But the Wolves esports fan, you were honestly having a bit of hope in the end of the tunnel, having two players knocked before making this a one. Juancho, yeah, sticky. You gotta push the initiative. Coming through, he's not even gonna find it. These other squads trying to really kind of just push the envelope a little bit more in these other teams, which I'm still looking at it. That same team on that hillside off in the distance, Punjab. I'm needing to see the signs of life out of you. I need to see the sort of engagement come through, not just the knocks from far, because I don't even think it's Punjab getting this damage done. It's all Inko Gaming here.
It's not, and it's just opportunity kind of wasted here. But as you can see, especially if Inko, gets any sort of third-party attention, boy, SEP could have a real opportunity for some free point gain. And I haven't seen them really capitalize on any of this. But here we go. Here we go. Hindu and Man in for a push, in for a penny, in for a pound, so they say. And here we're going to see, can they pull this off before Inko?
Hello and welcome back, everyone. Day number 1 of the PMCI Season 4 Grand Finals. We're talking 4 matches up, 4 matches down out of the 6 here tonight. I'm Enigma with the GOAT Red Eyes next to me. Red Eyes, baby. Second Erangel played so far in the tournament. That repeat factor coming in so far. What did you make of it?
A lot of things that I did expect, kind of followed by one of the bigger surprises of the day. Really? Noobs Esports really sort of over maybe 2 or 3 zones, acquiring a very, very impressive number, 8 elims before the final altercation, and it's just a different Noobs Esports than we saw in the first half of today. Entirely different. And I definitely did not expect.
I think the main part with that, Red Eyes, is the fact that their elimination count, like you said, right? We could pull that up on the match results real quick for everyone to see. You said they had 8 eliminations, right before they had that engagement with Wolves there at the end. But earlier on, we didn't see any signs of life out of them.
None. And I mean, to the point where I was fairly ready to play off the name of Noobs Esports. But, hey, if you can do it on Erangel, then I think you present a strong case that you can, pull a little bit of change in the tides for a map like Miramar. But certainly, if you can do Erangel, then you're closer, you're more comfortable in your confrontations, and you definitely have a little bit more footing as you work your way into your second Sanhok. But this is going to be a bit of the trickier of the 2 remaining matches in terms of just transitioning from that playstyle to just this sniper-intensive, wide-open area. But with that being said, I believe the plane is already taken off, so let's go ahead and get into the flow of it. Enigma, here we go, my man.
Hey, Miramar, man, I mean, you said it, the long range has got to be the name of the game for these teammates to really be able to understand it. The DBS, it comes into play, but Hot Chooks made note of it about a year or two ago. That Mini 14 starts to be picked up in the right players' hands, and well, let's say they're making it look pretty busted out there. But nonetheless, the playing path that looks a little bit more forgiving for most of these teams can be all the way down southwest, starting at Prison, all the way up to the top right of Campo Militar. El Pozo is a little bit of a stretch, but nonetheless, most of these POI spots that these teams like to drop at will be nothing too foreign to them. But Red Eyes, man, I mean, we've seen some of these teams. Obviously, Sanhok was kind of that main one we saw, these sort of contestual drops. But Miramar, a little bit of a slower pace nonetheless. And I'm interested in seeing which of these teams will really be able to kind of capitalize with this second Miramar coming into play.
Well, I would say, just looking at the board here, you've got a potential cluster here between the winners of the last match, Noobs, Entity, a little bit across the ways, Inko, but realistically, this Los Leones cluster is going to be the closest thing. And I once you guys see me switch there, you'll see why I'm a little bit hesitant. But X-Force already in the feed here. It looks like, yes, up against. Oh my goodness. Well, oh, pardon me, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like in this brief moment here, Secret Ways may have been thrown into a tough situation. Looks like X-Force dropping alongside and getting some easy pickings early on before Secret Ways able to get properly looted. So this decision to take what remains of your team and dip out of Dodge is probably, the safest bet here, because certainly enough can be said that being eliminated this early on in any of these matches on day one, it is just devastating to some of these teams. But a newer team, oh man.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, they were one of our squads in these sort of last few matches that have started putting some eliminations under their belt. They haven't been a team that's really been all for naught and putting up numbers in that elimination count of leaderboard, but you made note of it. CBK Esports up against almost there, I believe, in the Los Leones drop. So they didn't even opt to spread out too much. It's this north and south side of the road being the main focal point. Two players as well, already being close and personal. UMPs in both players' hands, while CBK squad, 4 players up. 2 of them already tagged up, but nonetheless, the player advantage might be coming into play. And unfortunately, if you're an almost there fan here, Red Eyes, I'm really kind of interested in knowing when you're going to be congesting down to a 3-man. You're as a duo right now, but you playing so passive, so slow, it opens up for CBK to take the advantage on it.
I mean, to be honest, I was going to give credit to Full Sense here for this 2-1-1 split where CBK, kind of all together one singular unit, but it is one of those standard Los Leones just standoffs where you can have 2 teams 10 meters apart, and it's just that battle of who's going to be the first one to push. Oh, poor Cute tried to do a cute little push, and that's all it amounted to, was just a cute effort.
Hey, efforts nonetheless. I mean, at least someone. But now we're seeing almost there. We'll be able to find one on the knocks. The Uzi does connect, but damage starting to come through. Stairs while the rest of them swing outside, but you're allowing them to take it one by one, and now we have 7 to pre-fire to play. The ammo is going to be all for naught, and he gets all 4 players. Red Eyes. That, I mean, I was going to say we don't see it too often, but that's the second or third 1v4 we've seen on the night.
It's a second at least, yeah. And goodness, I think the last time we saw CBK in a 1v4 altercation, I think I said, crazier things have happened. Maybe it was Inko, but this is I mean, no one is pushing daisies on CBK. No one is pushing daisies on CBK. Everyone's thanking daisies. But, God, sometimes the dad jokes are so cringy that even I'm just like, But regardless, they come out victorious with all 4 members still up, carrying on the team name. It's a good start for CBK.
Yeah, and I wish it's just one of those moments, right, where we're almost like at a LAN event in Brazil or in Riyadh where we could have those player cams when those sort of engagements go down, because they just imagining what that player is saying. I mean, I bet he didn't even have his hand on his phone.
No,
after doing something like that.
Jumping
he's
3 feet
standing
in the
up.
air.
Oh yeah, screaming like let's flip and go. Like that's a player you want, and especially clutching up, like you said, with keeping all 4 players alive afterwards. I mean, CBK, oh, it's not gonna knock there from that, but CBK, man, just really making light work out of it.
That is the understatement of the altercation, Enigma. But it does seem to be a little bit of a standstill here. If you take notice, we got a pretty decent spread here on the map, but what does strike my attention, Enigma, is this little section of water occupying about a third of the zone. And that really definitely makes me feel a lot more confident in SON's positioning, as well as, I mean, maybe even more so in X-Force's. They've got a zone shift that they may have to worry about down the road. But
nah, the circle shift, I'm wanting you to say, because of that eastern side, we have a chance of the island finish. Okay, pull it over. Pull it over.
That is asking for a lot, friend. That's asking for a lot.
I don't know who's running the rooms this time. If it's Scarlet, if it's Clint, if it's Mel.
Almost there, but a little bit of a ways to go.
Hey, we're still early on, but for the most part, these teams, Red Eyes, they're not waiting. 4 sexy frogs now taking the engagement. This random compound, and this is one of those spots where the wall can maybe be good enough unless your teammate on his teammate. Goodness gracious. Now the shots all 4 players.
You got a problem, Wiz.
That's just, I mean, right to the dome, too.
That's a big problem.
Look at the guy.
It's a big problem. But almost there is trying to escape, and they're almost there. But, let's see. It does look like they are going to escape with those 2 members intact. And unfortunately, this does not look like it's going to be the tide-changing game for almost there that we were hoping for. And honestly, as this is only a 3-day event, Enigma, I think it's safe to say that by the end of the day, if they haven't really adjusted where they need to go, then they're going to have to hit the ground running so fast tomorrow that it's a lot of slack in the rope to make up.
Yeah, and I'm not one of those people that likes being the bearer of bad news or a Debbie Downer, so to speak, but this is one of those tournaments where if you're not performing day 1 and I have never heard of your teammate before, I'm discrediting you. Now, I'm not going to bash you, and we'll maybe catch some moments of brilliance out of you like we just saw from CBK Esports, but we want to see who's in that top 5. We want to see who's in that top 2 to move forward to Titan Series. Maybe this is your first event, first time loading up in the PUBG Mobile circuit, which I applaud you.
Yeah, because you made it.
Right?
You did well.
But the fact of the matter is that we're needing to look past that. We need to look at the big picture. And the picture, I mean, for PUBG Mobile Esports Red Eyes, it's as large as
and on day 1, it's always a little bit trickier to sense just exactly what direction that's going to take. But speaking of sense, we got full sense being sensed by multiple members of, is that Entity? Yes, it is. But that's a great point. I think by the end of day 2, we can say a lot of these chicken dinners today may have been just great outlier performances, but by the end of day 2, maybe even halfway through day 2 even, we'll be able to start picking up on the patterns and the trends. You can win one game and it can be a one-off, but you can't deny a team that has 4 chicken dinners on day 2. Like that. Yeah. I think that by the end of day 2 tomorrow, we're going to be able to tell who the big dogs are here.
Yeah, and I feel like the teams that have won, let that be, X-Force, Wolves was close that first game, Dauntless winning the next Miramar, and then obviously tonight. Yeah, Afternoons Esports, we applaud you for getting the win, but we don't want it to be like what Red Eyes just mentioned. We don't want it to be that one-off on the day where you're only able to perform 1 out of 6, because even us looking back at Americas and stuff like that, right, Red Eyes, or even Titan Series, we've seen just how detrimental it is for teams where they've only been able to turn up, even show up, I guess you could say, to the matches more than once or twice. You've got to be here all 6. You've got to be able to put up the consistent numbers, that baseline that I like to look at. Whether it's eliminations, placements, who gives a crap, it's got to be that total point accumulation per game. You've got to have that average in your mind, and unfortunately, a lot of these teams haven't really established what that baseline wants to look like going to these matches here, Red Eyes, but nonetheless, these teams need to figure it out. This squads, they're starting to make the gaps in a team that's desperately needing the points, but it's looking right on their last leg. Legacy of Control a solo.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but XYZ might have to take the YZ out of his name here. Just keep it as X. If one more bullet hits him, he is going to stop being Buggy and start being a Roman candle. And that is not a good position to be in as a solo driving past a full squad of X-Force!
Oh,
and
man.
boom goes the dynamite.
Hey, but we like the word free. That's okay. That's a free point right there.
Yep. And no one's going to turn a free point away, especially not X-Force. You know, X-Force showing some real oomph early on, and then I believe it was the Sanhok match that followed. Definitely a change in the tides. But, you know, this is the second time around in the Desert Sands here, and this is the time to make repeat magics happen. So if they can put up another strong performance here, I think that we'll see them right back up towards the top of that bracket. And that's not even to say that it's been an overwhelmingly positive performance for them today, but we have seen several select teams just putting up outrageous numbers in context of the rest of the playing field.
Yeah, and I know we haven't really been showing those overalls throughout the day here, but obviously, you know, you and I at Red Eyes, we're going to be looking at it kind of coming in tomorrow from the day one results and really see just kind of how these points laid out. The only teams that have really been able to put up numbers have been those squads that have had those 10, 11, 12, 13 elimination wins. The rest of the lobby has been pretty dormant, to say the least, when it comes to finding their sort of moments in these matches. Only squads that kind of ring a bell outside of that, obviously, we're looking
X-Force,
X-Force, exactly, XY.
Yeah, and you're right, and I say CBK only recently, too, so you're 100% right, and I think that at least that much is somewhat predictable, you know, is that just synergy, experience, and practice in full form. And it's if we didn't see that from some of NA's top performing teams, I think we would feel a lot more nervous about, you know, moving to sort of the more of these global stages. But look here, Rival 6, the talk of the town here. They have been definitely making a name for themselves here in the first three matches today, and I'm betting we could see them throwing themselves into the thick of it here.
Oh man,
sandwiching themselves between SW and X-Force. This is interesting. A 2-1-1 split with Coups, that the devil they don't know.
Yeah, and I believe that's also going to be what secret ways there on that upper church side, with Wolves being on those mountaintops, like you said. But Punjab, they opted to rotate at the same exact moment as Rival 6, both finding themselves right next to each other. And obviously, I'm feeling more comfortable with Punjab's position, with them being a full four-man in those buildings. We haven't seen the vehicles really lose any tires yet from both of those squads, but 4v2, if you're Punjab, if you're able to kind of dissect this sort of information, those two eliminations, I would expect them maybe to even go for them.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure if I do, and I only say that just because I feel like I haven't really seen them capitalize on many altercations yet today, and that's oh, I see it. We got action already happening here.
Oh my goodness! And every single team will send it in a bad way. Oh, it's not that
crazy.
It's them getting shut out of the party. Okay, what is that? One of them. Oh.
Of all the times to not fire. Of all the times to not fire. I mean, if I
could though, when you got the nade. Okay, Red Eyes. And now it's rolling, and then oh my goodness.
There it is.
You went
we could have put a stop clock on that nade right there, like, you know, just countdown until that nade. As soon as he threw it out, it was, in my opinion, his undoing. But we are reaching this in-game zone here, and ladies and gentlemen, things are about to get intense here in the desert sands of Miramar. As you can see, a lot of congestion is forming here around the Impala area, and Rival 6 could be the deli meat in that peanut butter and truffle sandwich, that very likely. But For now, we turn our attention to Secret Ways. At this point, it's a two-piece of Pain and Player 2, and swimming in a world of anxiety as they've got Rival 6 to their front. They've got Wolves with high ground Overwatch on their backside, not to mention X-Force and Noobs all here at the party as well. And it looks like someone's showing up fashionably late. It's CBK, the popular kids of last match.
I just wonder, you know, obviously we're a little bit further into this match. It's not like we're early game, so the circle shifts aren't going to be anything too crazy, but you're a Secret Waves player, right? You understand that Wolves is the team behind you. I'm not sure how you even imagine yourself getting out of the church, because you're hoping at this point, you're hoping this is in 6, 7, and 8. You're right. Hoping that you don't have to move, because if you don't, if you're not in it, players probably avoid the mountaintop. I don't picture them rotation in.
I don't even picture them securing a thirst, because with the Wolves up there right above them, it's just easy pickings from an angle that let's face it, like X-Force would not be expecting it after a Secret Ways knock. And we just, as soon as we tuned into Player 2, you could tell he was looking up ways with that nade in hand, just trying to figure out a way to make physics change. And unfortunately for him, that's not how physics works. Minus that one hill that you can drive up on a buggy.
Hey, listen, we never say we're mathematicians here, Red Eyes. We're going to add in there.
I ain't no mathematician.
We're not a physicist.
I ain't no doctor, lawyer.
Yeah, I'm not pulling a rabbit out of my hat here, but nonetheless, I mean, we got to add to the list of what we're not out here, okay? Because these people, I mean, they're starting to turn water into wine with some of these plays, right? With what we've seen, at least from CBK and stuff like that, right? You know, the 1v4 earlier on, as well as Dauntless from that previous ERANGEL. It's just moments like this, which is why we really just enjoy watching PUBG Mobile, because when you play the game, you know, you're loading up into that ranked lobby, maybe your A's, Conquer, whatever the case may be. You know, you're going to have some sweet plays, which we all love to see, but man, seeing it from the spectator point of view against, oh yeah, it's just right in the veins, just boom, like that. You don't get a hit like that anywhere else.
It's crazy.
For the most part, like these teams.
7 years of casting PUBG Mobile esports, and it still gets me every time.
Yeah.
I find myself in a position where almost every end of an event I have no voice, and I try to save it, but this is the best mobile esports community in the world. It's just not matched. And Valak up against the likes of CBK. Now CBK needing to be taken a little bit more seriously now. As you can see, Meow able to give one of his 9 lives to Bradusky here, and S12. Oh. We said it before. A shotgun sounds the same in every language. Boom, and it always means the same thing. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, GMC. Oh, I hope you had a good warranty on that car. God, you gotta
sleep for X
jokes.
Oh no, I was gonna say thankfully for X-Force, he's able to just go up and get the revive, but instead he tried playing the stairs angle with. Unfortunately, we're talking about it right now. Rival 6 getting the angle just on the toes through the window, so not remembering the angle is a rough mistake, to say the least, from X-Force, right? But nonetheless, it's coming to that late game. You got to understand the pressure and the motives from these teams are more than the players in front of you. There's also the lobby remaining, and now we're seeing a lot of teams, actually Dauntless as well, taking some casualties, being down to a 3-man, not a full 4-man strong force, turning their sights towards
Look at this,
Paul on this northern edge. But you wonder as well, right, as I keep got to be bringing it back over and over. I don't mind these full sends into the POI, right, this sort of town city, but you don't have a vehicle still. I mean, there's still a lot of teams that could just rotate right in front of you.
Yeah, but look here what Inko's doing, pulling right on SON, and with the outlier Bruno, just the devil you don't know. It's a very, very intimidating factor when you don't know where those shots are coming from. But Vitaly up in the thick of it, able to get a knock on Assassin before dishing another one out. It's 3 down, and boom, just like that, Inko squad wiped straight out of Nepal, straight back to lobby. The Lions are roaring in the desert here, and even as a 2-piece, Bruno and Vitaly are responsible for 80% of the team's elims.
Yeah, and I think the big key takeaway was that final 1v1 with probably 1 HP, the shotgun just immediately finding the knock because it wasn't even Bruno's in getting the player on SO1. It was actually going to be Dauntless, one of those players shooting up on the backside from the pull-up. So nice play out of them. They did lose those 2 players, like you said, but I think with this stage in the game, if that zone pulls anywhere towards the center or the north side, they won't be stressing too much on their positioning. But if it goes south, of course, where this whole cluster of teams is, I'm not sure if we can get an overhead potentially of it because I'm looking at that map right now, Red Eyes, on the top right there. I'm seeing what, 5, 6 teams potentially in this part of the map.
Yeah. And here we go, getting a little bit closer. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. You're right.
Yeah.
We're all congregating at Impala. I mean, everyone got the invite to the Impala party, and it does look like it's going to be popping. But if you are SEP and you haven't made moves happen yet, and you find yourself in this position towards the end game, honestly, given the performance we've seen from them, I don't think that they have much option but to lay low and try to third-party them steal and get placement points. Just that. Like, don't even try to third-party steal yet. Wait till 2 more teams are
reminds me of the last Miramar. We saw 4 Sexy Frogs have that center position next to Inko, but since they were just right next to everyone, they didn't have any chances of eliminations. Everyone knows to steer clear of certain buildings, so if you're not able to be a dominant force in that, you're really just a sight for sore eyes at the end of the circle shift. And you're wondering if SEP can maybe make motions in the ocean. I'm really interested in seeing if Dauntless will have to push on them, because even though Dauntless is that 3-man, I could see them potentially taking that 3v4 and winning that engagement for the positioning, because this team, they've already got a win under the belt. You know, they've got a player that's gotten that 1v4 earlier on in the matches here, that being the last ERANGEL we just saw. So these teams, you know, I understand you maybe haven't found your mark, your stride, like you were mentioning it, Red Eyes, but you've got to be able to make the most out of it.
Yeah,
now we see
stepping out of that comfort zone and trying. It's the only way it's going to happen is to try. And if you're too afraid to try, you'll never know. And Daisy, oh man, the 1v4 anomaly of round 5 here is going to try to make magic happen twice. Well, let's see what you got, David Copperfield. So far on the board, Daisy responsible for 5 of the team's 9 elims, brought down to a 2-piece, but still with 66% of their points between the 2 members still up. This is very much a fight to be had. And Snow, downed with the UMP CQC Annihilator, outgunned, but the UMP just comes out victorious. No time to waste. There's more action to be had as the Sexy Frogs are apparently no frogs left, maybe. Yeah, there are no frogs getting kissed and becoming princes in round 5. They are out of there, down, done, and dusted. Leaving me to want to check once again here on the boys in Rival 6. Not moving an inch since we last
they're not moving anywhere. It's all about this mountaintop, and Wolves, I think they've found it right here, right? Team Entity. I'm wondering what kind of angle he's even looking at here, because Coups, he's got the P90. He's training down from up top, but you finally see it now. I believe the rest of his squad on Team Entity is going to be just behind him with the overwatch position. Wolves unable to peek over this ridge line, and now we understand what the dynamic looks like, what the lay of the land currently is. And with the circle shift, I was wondering if it was going to go maybe to that field to the west side, Red Eyes, or potentially even into the POI. But there's a chance that this circle shift pulls up onto the mountaintop of Wolves, who, yeah, they've only got 1 elim, but damn, we know that team, if they get this next circle shift, they very well could be frying the rest of the lobby. And with there being so many teams still remaining, with this being that sort of POI spot here, Red Eyes, you going out right now is never going to be a good feeling.
No, to get this close to the money of hitting that bracket for placement points and then fall short of the last slide, that's 91 points, that's devastating, especially for a team like SEP. You know, give it, you know, some context. 1 elim, but they're still a full 4-piece team, and they're at an in-game zone. This is probably the best odds that they've had here thus far today, if not just matching up with it. But here you can see it. They are up against Wonders and Noob Esports coming fresh off a win, feeling the confidence, feeling the momentum, but Hindu, boom, goes the dynamite. 2 birds, 1 stone, bam. There's the David Copperfield nade that I was talking about.
Yeah, and that was needed. I was wondering if they could very well actually find themselves an engagement they could win instead of just allowing these other teams to steamroll them. And that nade definitely feeling the blessings, but the only issue I see in my eyes, Red Eyes, is they lost 1 player as well as all of the eliminations on a single individual of the squad. So really still that question mark of can you as a team find your mark in these matches.
Make me feel more confident in their.
We see Rival 6 as well, kind of in the center spot. You've been wondering exactly what's going to happen to this team. Well, now they're on that edge of the circle shift, I believe, now having to deal with CBK as well as potentially Secret Squad. So these teams right now, I'm wondering who all is really going to be able to come out on top. But man, CBK, they just peak for an instance and get knocked.
Yeah, man. Talk about getting a little too much unwanted attention. Taylor is really regretting making his presence known and now trying to maybe lay low, let SEP get worked on a little bit by rivals. And this is my point. SEP able to hold position, but not able to run too much when contested and challenged here. Ender would have a money nade.
Oh, man.
Honestly,
He just missed it.
Yeah, it was just bad luck on that. But regardless, he's still in the equation here. Little help.
His teammate got the knock as well. Comes into play, but unfortunately, dudes, they're not going to have anything going their way. SCP, we're seeing some love in the chat. Keep spamming it because you're making them make wonders happen. Eliminations on the board for them right now. This is a squad. Turn it up. This is the Miramar for them. If they can get that reset, they very well could be a threat in this lobby, but now we turn to this north side. What is this going to be? Team Entity, Wolves. Those 2 squads fighting earlier. Wolves, they took the off-angle initiative, and now they're finding the knocks and the thirsts on the mountain. How are you
just the
find
Wolves
this?
Do not stop once they start huffing, puffing, and that was like they didn't even have to use Coups there.
Yeah. I always like him. He's someone I would definitely use.
Of course, but just think about the fact that they don't need him every time. Just going to exemplify, Coups is a player that everyone fears, but let's give notice to the rest of the team who definitely is able to hold their own regardless. Yeah, he's just, I feel like it's almost unfair to Wolves to get mentioned next to Coups all the time because they are equally, all the kills that Coups is getting, they're setting these things up for him so often. These guys are just as crucial members of these teams, but it's just we've seen, it's like, in wrestling, when you see the fireworks come out, the big bad dog is about to strike here. Big bad wolf would have been the best dad joke ever, and I missed it.
And for the most part, Wolves, they want to get the win under their belt, finding knocks still across the zone on the mountaintop. I believe that was going to be Coups finding the first initial onto the outside there. And for these teams right now, we're seeing an SCP. They're struggling to get in. Dauntless being the squad that's really kind of pressuring them on that far eastern side, as well as the Wolves split coming into play with it now. I believe just being a solo on the SCP. Dauntless having, I believe it's going to be just 3 players remaining. SCP now finally out. We're talking our top 3 squads, I believe, here, Red Eyes. A full 4-man on Wolves, 3-man on the Dauntless. It's just a duo still. So wonders have to be made here if you're someone other than the Wolves, Red Eyes, if you're wanting to win this Miramar.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is something the Wolves almost certainly predicted. Or either they predicted this to zone to shift, or they just like, hey, if it doesn't work out, we're coming down from a high ground and we're going to risk it for the biscuit, because that's what Wolves does. They're not afraid to take risky chances when they have that, especially when they have that point guard. Just one steal, just want to get one elim off of it, but not. Oh, I guess it did work. It did work. They were able to secure one, but quick stories in fast, and that is the end of the tale for them. Ladies and gentlemen, any way you look at it, that is going to be round 5, down, done, and dusted. and it's gonna be a Wolves finish.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for their winner chicken dinner was that engagement against Team Entity, the squad that was on that northern side, right? Red Eyes. They took that 4v4 engagement and ultimately won that outright, not losing a single player. And you said it best. With this sort of squad like Wolves, they'll be damned if they do, they'll be damned if they don't. They said, hey, no, we're going to clear out every team next to us to make sure that doesn't happen. Because if they had to rotate out, like you said, they had that on-top hill advantage. But if they get blessed, they get to sit back, they get to shoot everyone known to man and get all the eliminations they win.
It comes down to this. They're so confident in their plays, the Wolves are, that essentially they are able to line every odd up against them as a worst case scenario and say, look, are we comfortable pulling that off? Yes? All right, let's give it a go. And boom, it works. It works. And it's just it comes with experience. It comes with synergy. It comes with a lot of losses. You have to lose a lot first before you get to this point of just fluent, like everyone is in sync. And that is not going to come from one player performances. It's just not. Coups can have a 13 elim game. The Wolves, if the rest of the Wolves aren't performing, it's not going to matter. Everything is an equal effort between these guys, and three of the members are phenomenally impressive players next to just an all-star, and they are lining these elims up for him to just knock down. And honestly, they're all heavy hitters. It's just, what can you do when the big bad wolf has you from both sides?
Yeah, and unfortunately for these teams now, the start of the day, Red Eyes, it was that even playing field. Everyone's starting with that 0 on the leaderboard. But now with it being 5 games played, they've only got 1 left on the night. In chat, don't go anywhere. This final game, this final Sanhok, coming back after the break.
Be back soon.
One elimination, I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask, is if you are Kin, you know, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's going to happen beneficially here. You know, you have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might be
taking the ego battle on vehicle to vehicle. But they're swinging to the bottom, immediately gets traded, and now Dauntless. Question mark gets thrown up in the air. Red Eyes, do you stay or do you
gotta go? You dip, cut your losses, sever the ties, because Enigma, all the progress made in the previous match here essentially will be completely undone for the most part. It'll not completely, that's a little harsh, but to have no elims and no placement points to match after, it essentially is going to knock you from that king of the hill position right on down to where you were before. And boy, Sherpa has an opportunity. If he has an opportunity to dip out of dodge, then that's what he needs to do.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there's not a lot of odds of him 1v4ing out of this situation.
And I think the big issue is just that one last-ditch effort, that frag grenade he threw on the ridge, only finishing the player. He didn't get the knock on the member he saw running forward, so now we see Newbie Esports congesting themselves down on the compound. Obviously, the HP bars are all really low from the blue zone, but since Dauntless was the players eliminated, you know they have the meds and the utility.
They got the
just
info.
The reset and the reset, I mean, it came through Red Eyes. This is the time where it's always just a matter of time until you're eliminated.
And honestly, Sherpa knows it. He's sort of biding his time, waiting for that final stand. And honestly, a DBS sounds the same in every language, okay? A gunshot says knock, regardless of what language you speak. But a gunshot up against 4, you know, a shotgun versus 4, crazier things have happened.
But we see it now. The nade comes through after a bit of a stun going down. A little bit of a 1v1 set up, but
bracket for placement points and then fall short of the last slot. That's 9 points. That's devastating, especially for a team like SEP. You know, give it, you know, some context. One elim, but they're still a full 4-piece team, and they're at an in-game zone. This is probably the best odds that they've had here thus far today, if not just matching up with it. But here you can see it. They are up against some heavy hitters in Noob Esports coming fresh off a win, feeling the confidence, feeling the momentum, but Hindu, boom, goes the dynamite. 2 birds, 1 stone, bam. There's the David Copperfield nade that I was talking about.
Yeah, and that was needed. I was wondering if they could very well actually find themselves an engagement they could win instead of just allowing these other teams to steamroll them. And that nade definitely feeling the blessings, but the only issue I see in my eyes, Red Eyes, is they lost 1 player as well as all of the eliminations on a single individual of the squad. So really still that question mark of can you as a team find your mark in these matches.
Make me feel more confident in their.
We see Rival 6 as well, kind of in the center spot. You've been wondering exactly what's going to happen to this team. Well, now they're on that edge of the circle shift, I believe, now having to deal with CBK as well as potentially Secret Squad. So these teams right now, I'm wondering who all is really going to be able to come out on top. But man, CBK, they just peak for an instance and get knocked.
Yeah, man. Talk about getting a little too much unwanted attention. Taylor is really regretting making his presence known and now trying to maybe lay low, let SEP get worked on a little bit by rivals. And this is my point. SEP able to hold position, but not able to raise too much when contested and challenged here. But would have a money nade. Oh, man. Honestly,
you just missed it.
Yeah, it was just bad luck on that. But wicks off, then stumble across Coups. That's just 2 singles. I mean,
I think a big thing was I would have liked to see Noob Esports honestly move before the circle pop, because now Wolves Esports may be predicting it, but actually sending it. Man, 1 knock, but they do get the trade and they get 2 now. That's a big trade from Coups. Wolves got to push the initiative here, Red Eyes, and with it being a 3v2, the nades, the smokes, they're coming into play now. They're looking for these thirsts.
Yeah, man, and I'm just talking about it time and time again. We say it so often. This is huffing and puffing. This is their flow state. This is their full momentum, full confidence. And, I mean, yeah, we've seen it pan against them at certain times. I feel like they've held this in-game for the last 2 zones. They've controlled this in-game. They haven't pushed anything too early. Not but this caster curse of all times, Red Eyes just struck the wolves down here. And we got 3 little piggies here. Yes, 4 little piggies coming in with eyes on Baton and Juancho. And what I just completely 180 here for these participants. I said, oh, in the bag. And now Baton goes down. Juancho says, Red Eyes, why'd you open that big mouth of yours?
Yeah, but unfortunately for them, it's still just Juancho remaining. The Molly's right in front of them, both just missing the mark. But the Wolves Esports fan, you're honestly having a bit of hope in the end of the tunnel, having 2 players knocked before making this a 1. Juancho, yeah, sticky. You gotta push the initiative. Coming through, he's not even gonna find it. But now, nonetheless, maybe they want to repeat that. Maybe ERANGEL is going to be their strong suit.
We talk about it.
Year. Taking the ego battle on vehicle to vehicle. They're seeing the bottom immediately gets traded, and now Dauntless. The question mark gets thrown up in the air. Red Eyes, do you stay or do you
gotta go? You dip. Cut your losses. Sever the ties, because Enigma, all the progress made in the previous match here essentially will be completely undone for the most part.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. PUBG Mobile Control Invitational Season 4. We're talking grand finals, day number 1 here today, Red Eyes. We've done ERANGEL, we've done Miramar, and we've done Sanhok. And now we've done the repeat all the way up to the very end of the night. And for the most part, Red Eyes, we've seen a few teams competing here tonight that have shown a lot of prowess, but let's bring in that refresher from match 5 just so everyone's aware of what went down that last Miramar we just watched, because there was a lot that happened.
Yeah, was there ever. And I mean, talk about it. They hit the ground running, and the Wolves essentially securing in-game positioning, setting themselves up for victory. I'd say, 2 zones before the end of the match. essentially getting that high ground, the overwatch over the entirety of the playing field, and essentially having, you know, the team sandwiched in front of you, getting easy damage done for you, getting easy knocks for you, easy pickings, and then coming in and just picking off the rest with sheer bullyism, you know, and it worked in full form for the Wolves. And let's not, you know, take credit, you know, away from Secret Ways. It's an improvement. It's ain't nothing wrong with silver. Ideally, you know, you want a little bit more in terms of elims than maybe 3, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm not saying that with scrutiny. They're playing to what they feel is going to be objectively the strongest approach for getting the most point gain out of a match. You know, maximum
if
benefit,
you've got
minimal
Wolves,
risk.
If you've got Wolves dropping 11 elims, and we're seeing on this right side of the leaderboard where some teams are going out with more than a squad wipe for eliminations, I could see how that end game really limits you in getting those elimination points throughout the match. But nonetheless, I think the big success factor for Wolves Esports, obviously, like I said, was that fight against Team Entity, but also these other teams that are the big names in the lobby, right? I'm looking at Inko Gaming, X-Force, even straight out on Nepal. All 3 teams not showing up or performing really in any way that they would find acceptable in this sort of lobby. Because, yeah, you got a squad wipe, maybe you got 1 or 2 plays at some points, but if the other team that's against you is dropping 10, 11, 12 points on average per game, Red Eyes, you cannot be allowing yourself to be so low on the leaderboard. And that's where that consistency factor comes in, right? These teams that I expect to be able to perform in the light that we want to see being too dimmed out now, it seems to be, compared to the Wolves and the likes of them, it's not something we like to see. And as much as I'd like to attribute it to maybe those day one jitters, like you said, Red Eyes, I feel like we've seen this just way too many times.
It definitely does seem that, you know, usually I like to wait till like halfway through day 2 before I, you know, establish things as set patterns. But this is becoming a bit of an outlying performance between the pros and some of the lesser known teams. But, you know, we've got the final match here, you know, and teams like Inko, I'm putting my prediction in for Inko here. Not going to be a full set thing, but if the last Sanhok is going to be any indicator, it's that they definitely have a lot of comfort and confidence on this close quarter, congested, you know, battle zone. It's just thrown into the thick of it. But
I feel like battle zone is just I don't even know. I feel like we got to put a stronger word to it, because it's just like absolute mayhem on Sanhok, right? The close quarters in this, everything about it is just what we're wanting to see and expect. And now we see it as well. Sanhok, the fly through coming in. We're seeing actually 4 sexy frogs dropping in towards Paradise here. A team that we're desperately wanting to see really kind of perform, I feel, Red Eyes. I know you and I have said their names a lot just because it's pretty fun to say. But unfortunately, it hasn't been in maybe the way of light that they want us to shine it on, right? It's mostly been them getting eliminated, maybe going 1 for 1 on engagements, not being trades that you'd expect from
come
them.
on, man, pay your dues. Every one of these players on here has been a new player at some point and had the bad camera time that they wish wasn't caught. But guess what? Red Eyes is here, and I'm sorry, Hunter. Oh, never mind. Bruno not even gonna go.
You got it.
There we go.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know if I'd go for this.
You like bowling?
Hey, I love bowling, Red Eyes. Don't get me wrong, but look at that. I think that's actually the 3rd team that dropped there that's shooting right now. Taking the pod shots. Bruno's got to be careful, but oh man, I'm actually seeing some crazy gun pickups. M4s for days from these players in the compound. Red Eyes, you got to be careful driving, or else you might lose a player early on.
Yeah, and I mean, this does seem to be kind of a high-risk situation for Bruno to drop. I mean, it's not hyper distanced away from his teammates, but it's farther enough away that it could be a problem if he gets picked on. But we were talking about those frogs, and I don't think anyone's kissing them to make them princes here. They're trying to fight. Looks like they already secured 1 elim, and whatever action that was in, it seems to have passed.
Oh, what is this? A boot camp fight as well. It's going to be Secret Waves picking up 1, maybe even 2.
Yeah,
Not
look
sure
at
if
this.
they already thirsted 1 already, but that player is definitely done and dusted.
Think about what
Teammate
it
trying to
says.
save him.
You know, Secret Waves getting a little, just a little morsel of momentum there, and now they're already dropping boot camp out here looking for some fights. The confidence in the mental game is just so crucial to success.
Yeah, but I'm a little scared though, you know, just understanding what kind of risks you're taking going into Sanhok of all the maps, because it's not like we're playing this just one time, right? It's not like it's Americas or it's Titan Series we played once. We're talking every map is played equally. So Erangel is going to be worth its weight in gold just as much as the Miramar and the Sanhok. So if you're willing to take those engagements, you know, I applaud you and stuff like that, but I also get worried if the other team just says, hey, you know, I'm going to be your gatekeeper in the Titan Series. We've seen that. We probably will talk about that when it comes to the final day of this event, because these other teams, if you decide to rub them the wrong way, piss them off, you're on that edge of the leaderboard, maybe around that top 5 or even the top 2 for that sort of Titan Series slot qualifications. You definitely want to make sure you have all your eggs in the right basket. And now we see SCP. This is the team, actually, I put it in chat earlier because someone was supporting them beyond belief every game. This is the team that I want to see take this final match on the day number 1 against what I believe is going to be Legacy in Control. If this is a team that you need to start getting that sort of action going forward, right, Red Eyes, this is definitely the team to do it, because Legacy in Control, they really haven't had the day they'd want. And SCP, I'm not saying they have,
Enigma.
but
not a single point.
What?
Yeah.
I gotta look back. There's no way.
I think
LOQ?
Yeah, so
You're
I'm pretty
thinking
sure.
so?
I thought so. So if
now they've got 3. I'm counting it right now.
Okay, all right.
3,
they got 3.
5. I see now. I'm not gonna listen to anything you say to me anymore.
All right. Well, okay.
7.
They got 3. All right. 3 out of 5 matches. It still feels
They've got
like
7
they're not going to get a lot
total
of better
points.
opportunities in terms of teams to get matched up against for an early game confrontation. And SEP hasn't even put out a single bullet to get that intel on who they're fighting. But you know what? That doesn't necessarily bother me yet, because I don't think they've had any real lines of sight. And this tends to be my issue with Painan, is that it lends to these standoffs because that river just divides the city directly in half and spaces these 2 sections out. It is more often than not a standstill here at Painan. But we do have a little saving grace in a potential third-party outlier into the esports.
Well, the main thing as well is we're seeing on this right side only 3 players accounted for in Painan. The 4th player, I'm seeing it just off in the distance. He's around the bridge just behind us off screen. So it's not like they're playing like SCP. They're not waiting for the sort of action to come through. They're making the initiative, trying to get at least 1 player across the water. And what this means to me, when I see this sort of play go down, I want to see Legacy in Control full stack this sort of bridge on our close side, this western edge of Painan, and push with the teammate you have across the water. Because you're able to make it across, you're able to get that first initial knock. SCP, they're forced to hold this split. You're able to completely wipe out SCP. And as much as I'd love for SCP to win every engagement and stuff like that, I can see a play going wrong a mile away. So now we're seeing it, Red Eyes. The player, he has made it somewhat closer, but LOQ, they have yet to make that notion.
To be honest, I think this is going to be just a battle of patience between these 2 teams that I'm not really sure I want to wait here much longer on. Just because, and it's not to say that either of them is playing it incorrectly. I think that they're kind of, it's either that or dip out of Painan. Wait for the opposition to present themselves, make that mistake. But, you know, it comes down to who's got more free time on their hands, who has less of a pressure factor to acquire those points. And neither of those teams are exempt from desperately needing points.
Yeah. And the points factor, I mean, luckily, you know, we're talking about another team as well right now. We see them Dauntless. They've been able to consistently at least get a few eliminations throughout the game. They have that win earlier on, right? We've seen, I believe, that 1v4 as well from one of these players. So lot of these teams are really kind of just, I'd like to see them have some sort of life consistency like Dauntless, right? We've been able to see them coming into those later parts of the matches. We've been able to see them kind of perform when other teams maybe wouldn't be able to in these man disadvantages. But it can't be just the same 4 or 5 teams, right? I'm wanting to see these random teams like SCP, like SW, like 4 Sexy Frogs be able to come into this lobby and start, you know, having those pop-off performances. And the only team that's really done that so far, Red Eyes, you made note of it, Noobs Esports, that 13 elimination game. I believe that's actually the highest point total we've had so far throughout all of our wins, 23 to be exact. It's something that, you know, we want to see more out of, not just from our repeated champions.
Yeah, but I mean, boy, talk about like a fast change of pace, you know, for newbies. Whatever the gave them in that intermission, I need that as the one wake-up in on Rival 6 and taking Shu Young down into the sand of Sanhok, and this is going to spell a lot of trouble for Rival 6. Now, we've seen them in just perfect form, and then we've seen them in moments of split-second hesitance, split-second mistakes. So I am curious, losing one of their crucial members, Shu Young, before the conclusion of Stage 2, is this going to change up their strategy? And I think it will. I think it'll either make them focus in and dial back the aggression, or be a little bit more afraid of their confrontations. But either way, it spells a bit of a down tune in terms of aggression for the remainder of the match.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's just the crazy thing about it is more of just how we're able to really interact with some of these plays, right? Obviously, with you being a 3-man, you want to make sure that you're not going against the team that knows you're a 3-man, right? You don't want to be having Noobs Esports drive up on you and take the initiative, but luckily for them, it actually looks like SON's trying to take their piece of the pie here. Noobs Esports is playing the rat game, but I'm not too too favorable of his spot there, Red Eyes, because we're talking all 4 players.
No,
he's
man,
out in the
he
open
can lose
right
to
now.
all 4 2 times and still have 1 extra life.
And now one of the players climbs out. He goes for the
who's
shot.
Coming up in the back. Look who's coming up in the back,
Oh no, not SON. Please. Oh, and they're full sending.
SON just falling for the bait all the same. What was supposed to be easy work for them is now... Ooh. Well, the fireworks have come out, and now the Wolves are here to play. We got a 3v2, or 3v3? No, 3v2 already on our hands.
2v4 going down.
Where's their
the
fourth?
player on Wolves is all the way out. Watching this solo player on the right side of SON.
The outlier.
Yeah, he gets the knock, but unfortunately for this straight on a Paul member, it's just him left standing now. The name, they are starting to come through. The bike pull-up's going to be right on that play, and we're just giving him a freebie. Noobs Esports trying to get the shots, but Wolves,
not just a freebie for them.
You've got the ego, but we got to be dialing it back here a bit.
We were talking about it last match. We've seen it work to their favor. We've seen it work against them. But here's the fact. They know they account for these things to happen, these bad pushes to go wrong. They account for that, and they said, look, majority of the time it does work in our favor, and if the odds work in our favor and it produces the results we want at the end of the event, why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I still am not ready to call it broke. But here, thrown into the thick of it, we got Rival 6 and CBK, 2 honestly high expectation teams for this altercation. So, you know, with Inko in the kill feed too, it just says this is lining up to be another intense Sanhok in-game.
Okay, but how is it that we play 2 Sanhoks? 2 Sanhoks. And somehow we're having teams in this waterway of cave. Back in the day, you'd only be seeing people on the top side of the hill. Why is it every team now is deciding that they're wanting to be that Michael Phelps cosplay,
because
coming in?
Otherwise,
and
his name would be
up?
his name would just be, you know, Toast. But no, his name is not Toast. Okay, he's not trying to die just yet.
What if he wants to be soggy bread?
Oh, well, that's a whole different
that's in the
set
water,
of issues right there.
Listen, well, that's the issue I'm bringing up. I feel like that's an inevitable right there.
Yeah, well, you know, talk about inevitability here. One thing was either going to happen or not going to happen. Inevitable was this altercation between LQ and SW, or just an all-out retreat. But there is no halfway push in Painan here. And so here we see it. SW getting onto Legacy and Control, and with the numbers in their favor, still a bit hesitant on this push.
Yeah, but luckily for them, they're able to kind of whittle down the amount of bullets they have to deal with. All players having shotguns and nades and make do for wonders only if they were grouped. And this is the issue we always see. When you start clearing out these angles, you get a little bit too over-eager and start isolating yourself. Now, leaving it to a 2v2. Both players, both teams having, I believe, all the utility and knowledge to work with. Matter of who's able to really make the right plays. And we see one of the members, both players actually, of Secret Ways starting to pull nades, and this is your moment. If you're able to find these sort of knocks early on in the compound, you're able to really start setting yourself up for success. But now this is the gridlock, the gap. You're talking about it with the water earlier with Painan. This is looking like an even bigger of an issue now for both these teams, Red Eyes. This wall cross going into one of the teams. The only squad that's really going to be struggling is Secret Ways. They're the ones that they're back to the zone. They've got less room to work with. 9 out of 10 times. So, trying to make the smart play, go across the water, it seems, and try to wrap around. But it's all a matter if you choose to kind of drag this team down with you in the water, in the blue zone, or are you going to finally make the rotation? I got to be seeing movement way more out of these teams right now.
Yeah, like, honestly, I feel like if SW wasn't prepared to make the push, then they at least had the luxury of the zone in their favor, a bit of an opportunity to use the geography and compound cover of Painan to make their escape. But to take this fight on and not really make much of that push and then dip out, well, you've used up your resources and you lost a member in the process with not much to gain from it. Well, the toast is toasting.
He's soaking.
Yeah,
he's soaking. No, I can't say he's toasting, right? He's soaked.
Yeah.
And I don't like wet bread, okay? Nothing good with that. Whether it's money or whether it's actual bread, okay? We don't like it when it's wet. For the most part, one team, we gotta get off that. We gotta get off that man saying we gotta see you start moving sooner rather than later. Wolves Esports getting that memo, and now we see it with Team Entity, a team that could very well have potentially won that last game right on Miramar, unfortunately losing that 4v4 engagement against the Wolves on the mountain that ultimately led to that sort of winner chicken dinner. But with it being Sanhok, they've got the compound, they've got the 4-man up, and I do believe they have a vehicle to work with, Red Eyes, so the possibility is definitely still there for this one.
Yeah, and you know, I think you bring up a great point. Yeah, not a lot of momentum for the match yet, but you can't put enough emphasis on being a full 4-person team come in-game. It's just time and time again, it's the difference between a team winner and a third place, fifth place finish. It's just the numbers in your favor and knowing how to
unfortunately, yeah, that wasn't looking anywhere flipping.
I don't know.
Close to playable. That was just a little embarrassing almost, but
not really
looks
sure
like X-Force, they were able to get all those eliminations, keeping 4 players up, which you got to bring this up too, Red Eyes. The broken record with X-Force so far in the day has been them having a struggle with keeping 4 players up. They always lose one in a precarious way really early on, but with this being the Sanhok, with this being final match on the day, they might have been able to kind of get their heads back on the right swivel for this sort of engagement. And the circle shift does come. It actually pulls towards cave here, Red Eyes. So all these teams along the river on the south side. I'm talking Team Entity. Well, he might have a bit of a blessing, but these other teams right now, Team Entity, they have a chance here. They have a chance to really start putting some numbers up depending on how they're able to perform from this point on.
Or at the very least, if they wanted to take the safe way out, their positioning is good to, I mean, it's not the right move to do, but if they were to go off of placement points, they're kind of in the perfect position. Edge of the news zone, not the focal point of any team at the moment. A little bit of a spread, not all going to be taken out in one spray. I mean, if you got 0 elims and you don't feel comfortable in the altercation...
Whoa! Oh my goodness.
McGrellin pulling off some hardcore parkour and doing so with the strongest legs possible, but brought down to about 10% of his overall health, goes into sneaky water snake mode. And you know why, because there is trouble right next to him, swimming in the shape and form of Full Sense.
Well, the nice thing is Inko Gaming is the squad that has control of the other side of the water, and we see it here as well. Yeah, Vitaly, he's priming the nade, I'm assuming he's going to roll it right off the top side of that water spot, or he's going to bank it off the island to try to get that guy in the water, because that solo, you really can't allow him to stay alive there in the water. The blue zone is going to be moving closer, kind of force him out of it, but the issue is Inko has to work with moving forward. They can't always have all their sights sort of turned towards their backside here, and I think they're finally understanding that Vitaly trying to get down, know exactly where he's at, and I'd like to actually see, here we go, I want to see one of the Inko Gaming players actually snake right on top of that player in the water, because as soon as he comes around the corner, Red Eyes, you're able to basically start shooting your teammate if he's on top of him, that little sort of buoy in the water for you to shoot, but
I gotta say,
unfortunately they're having to deal, and it's taking too long.
Yeah, but honestly, this was inevitably going to be a CPK push onto Inko. It would almost be just
we see it. One of them's actually out.
Ignorant to not expect it. So when at first I didn't see McGrellin or Vitaly really holding off CBK, so I was a bit nervous. But as you can see, Inko's got a plane. They won their last Sanhok, and they've got their eyes on a 2-piece back-to-back chicken dinner. They had their first taste of that chicken, and they said, you know what? We developed a taste for it. And Bruno still scouting. How is this guy on full sense?
He's gotta. I mean, they know he's there. It's just a matter of how much do you really want to commit to it. We see the circle shift as well. That compound in front of him that CBK is holding is really not in that pretty of a spot in zone. They have to take that engagement, now for it to ever be worthwhile. And Inko Gaming, they're turning their backs away from the solo. It doesn't look like they're going to be turning their action towards in. They're fully focused on the 4v4. And if you're an Inko Gaming fan, you're hoping that solo is not any shots yet onto your members. CBK, though, not find the mark. We're seeing nades starting to get primed to your Red Eyes. The nades are going to start flying. It's a matter of if Inko Gaming can find the hot feet, start dodging them. One player, McGrellin, ISO'd out, but playing the angles well, not stressing too much. I'm interested in seeing Red Eyes, which team is actually going to have the first player knock. And actually, it's like Inko Gaming is taking 2 now, but the window connects are coming down. Players Inko Gaming, pushing the envelope.
It's another third party. This time, the guy you're not getting out of the water, well, he's coming to bite you in the bottom here, because, oh, you don't get him now, he's going to be a problem for you later.
Oh, man.
And X-Force doesn't know about him.
He's not shooting. He's not doing nothing, Red Eyes. He's waiting like you want.
Oh, he's shooting.
Oh, man.
He's shooting. And somehow Meow does not know.
Oh,
Meow did not turn around.
But it was the X-Force player shooting. It was the X-Force player shooting in front of him, but unfortunately it's Inko Gaming now. I figured him out. X-Force, they spread out a little too thin. Maybe one of their players getting knocked, potentially thirsted, but unfortunately that will be the fall of Inko. We're talking our top 4 situation, I believe. Noobs Esports solo, Wolves Esports solo, and
hey, Secret Ways. They're there again.
This is what you want, Red Eyes.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it doesn't have to be the impressive elim stack that we've seen from some of our pros. It is a starting point of consistency and momentum for Secret Ways. And hey, either way you look at it, it's a second top 3 finish in a row. And no matter what, worst comes to worst, it's 2 second places in a row and maybe a 2 second place to a gold medal chicken dinner victory. That is a pretty big shift.
Yeah, and the shift, I mean, unfortunately for Secret Ways, it's a matter of how they're able to kind of climb over this ridgeline into X-Force, and we're actually still seeing nades being saved from the likes of X-Force, the 4-man, all craning over the hilltop. None of them even peeking yet. The name, yeah. If you're Secret Ways, I think you would give it to Blue Zone. Unfortunately, though, I think X-Force got the last one. X-Force make it 2 wins on the night here, Red Eyes. Winner, winner, chicken dinner for the squad. And this time, Red Eyes, it wasn't a 1v1 to end it all. It was a dead giveaway.
And we talk about it, man, like X-Force, boy, I just got to do this. I got to do it. I got to do it. X-Force.
You got him?
X-Force. If you haven't seen Deadpool, that is where it's from. X-Force. And they have been kind of right in line with what we're talking about, Enigma. From ever since match 2, when we brought up Phallic, this is a team that can go either way. And it's been a bit of this pattern with them ever since, I'd say, PMSL 2024. Maybe even I'd say 2024. It's been just the situation where when they pop off and they find their momentum and they're feeling confident in their abilities, that's when they start pushing out there and making riskier plays. But they're so, heavily talented as individual players and as a unit that when they have their mental in line, they're one of the most absolutely threatening teams in the North American pro circuit. But their Achilles heel is very obvious. And that is when you get the team on effectively a tilt, they can be very vulnerable to mistakes. Yeah. But here's where the professional experience comes in, is they bounce back. They don't lose full form. They keep their eye on the prize and assess objectively, what do we need to change in the moment? And that's something that we said it last match. It only comes with experience, practice, synergy, and obviously from, getting whooped every now and again and having to learn it the hard way, because you don't improve when things are going well. You usually make your most improvement off of when things aren't. But X-Force really bouncing back. And the same can be said, not just for them, but well, the one team that really kind of comes to mind when you say kind of, not just the one game, we got to throw it to Inko there at the end, right? Because they were the team that you mentioned. They won the last Sanhok. Them coming into these matches, obviously the first 2 games were maybe a little lackluster, like you and I were kind of commenting on. But them as a squad, Sanhok being the map of just that team synergy, berserker style, like you like to play it out to be, that's the team that makes it happen. And unfortunately for them, at the end there, it really came down to just how clean that 4v4 went against CBK in the compound. But afterwards, I mean, we could pull up the scores whenever they have them ready, is the fact that CBK not winning that engagement probably costed them 6, 7, 8 total points, with it being only 4 eliminations they needed to get onto Inko Gaming. So for the likes of that, I mean, we also got to give credit to Wolves as well. I believe they were a solo going into that top 4 situation, maybe even able to sneak a top 3, if I do recall. But for the most part, at least all the teams on the day here, Red Eyes, we know a lot of teams we expected great outcomes from, like Wolves, like Inko, Dauntless as well, SON. They all performed well, but of course, my big eyes are going to be set on Noobs Esports. The comeback oxymoron of the name is just them having the win and other teams maybe not really performing anywhere close to that level. It's something to keep note of. Yeah, and you know what? Like I don't want to take anything away from the higher performing teams, but if anything can be a predictor leading in tomorrow, I mean, even some of these lower performing teams have started to find their footing towards the end of the day here. So like for teams like Secret Waves, coming into day 2, we could see a totally different shift in performance. But if they're not able to keep up with consistency and the absolute berserker impact that teams like, Wolves and Inko, X-Force and Noobs are putting down, then I mean, essentially, it's a battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th place. So, yeah, you've got the potential, but there are going to be very necessary immediate shifts in strategy moving into day 2, because after we hit that halfway point tomorrow, and we're 9 matches down, that's when things can start to slip away from you. And coming through on to Grand Finals Day 3, you already know what's going to happen. Some of these bottom-performing teams who have no shot at winning are going to just lock on target on some teams that they might have beef with, and boom, now there's drama in River City. And if you don't have the comfort to handle your ones, to handle your CQCs, well, it's going to be a short story.
Yeah, and I think for Sanhok, obviously, we've played it twice now. Let's bring up those match results for everyone to kind of see and know and love, because for the most part, you talk about these sort of engagements, these action plays that these other squads might make. We really got to keep note of just, who's going to be around that bottom half of the leaderboard. Like you said, we're talking only 2 get to that Titan Series Premier Division slots for the qualifiers. And obviously that $3,000 on the line. But for the most part, this is the match results chat for match number 6. That Erangel we just watched. X-Force, of course, like you said, Red Eyes performing extremely well. Start and finish. The mid game is up for debate another time. But the rest of this leaderboard, I'm looking at especially 4th and 5th place Red Eyes. Those are some crazy numbers.
Yeah. and I'm so glad you said it, because, yeah, there is no way to about it. X-Force crushed round 2 and then was decimated maybe first off in round 3. That will crush a team's ego. That will, if that happens to me on stream, that's when a stream ends. That is when it's a short night. Say, oh, actually, I just forgot. I've got some groceries I got to go get while I'm potatoing. Got to go pick up some more of those. But
gotta walk the fish or something.
Yeah, right. And I think this is exactly the conclusion that X-Force needed to come in to day 2 with that confidence that, to be the X-Force that the other teams are fearing, the one that we know to fear, the hovercraft, heroes, so to speak. So only time will tell, ladies and gentlemen. This was just 6 of the 18 matches of the grand finals done and dusted. We still have 2 more days of intense PUBG Mobile esports action, 2 slots to the Titan Premier League, $3,000 to split amongst the winners, a lot of chicken to be had, a lot of sweaty confrontations to be had. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Red Eyes casting alongside the oracle of PUBG Mobile analysis, Mr. Enigma himself, and it's been an honor and pleasure, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Taking the ego battle on vehicle to vehicle. Players leaving the bottom immediately gets traded, and now Dauntless. Question mark gets thrown up in the air. Red Eyes, do you stay or do you
gotta go? You dip, cut your losses, sever the ties, because Enigma, all the progress made in the previous match here essentially will be completely undone for the most part. It'll not completely, that's a little harsh, but to have no elims and no placement points to match after, it essentially is going to knock you from that king of the hill position right on down to where you were before. And boy, Sherpa has an opportunity. If he has an opportunity to dip out of dodge, then that's what he needs to do.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there's not a lot of odds of him 1v4ing out of this situation.
And I think the big issue is just that one last-ditch effort, that frag grenade he threw on the ridge, only finishing the player. He didn't get the knock on the member he saw running forward, so now we see Noob Esports congesting themselves down on the compound. Obviously, the HP bars are all really low from the blue zone, but since Dauntless was the players eliminated, they have the meds and the utility.
They got the
just
info.
The reset and the reset, I mean, it came through Red Eyes. This is the time where it's always just a matter of time until you're eliminated.
And honestly, Sherpa knows it. He's sort of biding his time, waiting for that final stand. And honestly, a DBS sounds the same in every language, okay? A gunshot says knock, regardless of what language you speak. But a gunshot up against four, a shotgun versus 4, crazier things have happened.
Oh, we see it now. The nade comes through, a bit of a stun going down. A little bit of a 1v1 set up, but one elimination. I can't really picture it working out all too worthwhile in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask, if you are Kin, what would be the point of sticking around? There's no revenge factor that's gonna happen beneficially here. You have to be kind of delusionally confident to say, all right, they might not know who we are, but we're going to go ahead and 1v4 CBK right here off the rip. I don't think so. No, he's lost all his resources. It's going to be a complete strategy shift. It's going to be about making it to that end game and just acquiring what placement points you possibly can for the team. And at this point, it's damage reduction.
Yeah, and damage reduction. Unfortunately, I believe it was 4 Sexy Frogs that had the eliminations earlier on from Wolves Esports. Now, feeling the brute force of Noobs Esports, getting 1, maybe even 2 eliminations, was not eyeing it too closely. And seeing now the solo, he's starting to move his way in, but this squad fight, it's still going on the Eastern Edge. And I could have sworn Noobs Esports was going to be winning it out, but it looks like a solo for each team in the water. We're playing ducks.
Yeah, we got
fish in a barrel. I don't even know what to say about this right now.
Some competing Michael Phelps water snakes.
Oh, is he reviving? I think he's going for it.
I think he might be, brother.
Oh, man. This is big, though, but the other teammate, we see that Noobs Esports. Is he getting a heal off there? No! Through the water. I'm not sure if that was the play to be done. But...
I mean, risky as it was, 4SF was able to just pull off something that they realistically... I mean, what just happened? And at this point, they're going to have the time to heal up and then just pick winner off at their own pace. This is, well, winter came early, unfortunately for him. This is going to be a short one. And, boy, those heat waves are hitting hard with that.
On the back foot, they do not have that luxury of a compound that gives you the face of the hillside to control. Wolves Esports holding what looks like to be a 3-1 split or a 2-2, 2 on the hillside, 1 in the bank, make it 3-1, excuse me, but it's still a 4v4. If they could maybe isolate this player all the way on that western side, it looks like they maybe even have spotted him. If they could just find that weak point, Red Eyes, they could full send into it, but the problem is figuring out where these solos are at, right?
Or if it is a solo situation.